What's up, guys? This podcast is sponsored by Yak Attack. It's yakattack.us. And what Yak Attack is the leader in the kayak fishing industry who specializes in kayak fishing rigging solutions. As kayak anglers themselves, they are tightly integrated into the sport of kayak fishing and are acutely aware what the sport needs. It all starts with the gear track and or the Mighty Mount. The gear track comes in all different sizes and colors, and the screwball that connects to that connects everything to your kayak. And what that is a variety of rod holders and camera mounts for your still cameras and your GoPros, your light poles that the day flags that all folds into the flags, fish finder mounts, and the black pack crate system. All of this is made in the USA. A few years ago, Yak Attack set the gold standard in kayak visibility with the VisiCarbon Pro. Fast forward to today, it remains the most dependable light flag combo in the industry. The 48-inch deployed height that gets the flag and the light up where it can be seen, and the 14-inch collapsed length allows it to be easily stowed when not in use. The high visibility flag doubles as the pouch, making it an easy unit to pack away and store. The expected lamp life of 10,000 plus hours of ultra bright high efficiency LEDs and at least 100 hours with the 3 AA batteries that are included. The carbon fiber mast is strong and lightweight, and the narrow profile offers low wind drag. Don't compromise on safety. Depends on what tens of thousands of other paddlers trust. There is only one VisiCarbon Pro from Yak Attack, and that's yakattack.us. This podcast is also sponsored by my DVDs at kayakkevin.com. The Kayak Fishing the Chesapeake Bay series and the Bay Tour DVD. The kayak fishing DVDs are broken up into a trilogy. Number 1 is an intro into the fishery, has a full year's worth of footage from more of the larger fish targeted in the lower Chesapeake Bay. The instructional sequels are broken up into 2 parts, the warm water and the cold water species. Number 2 is the warm water species with detailed instruction on the rigs and the fishery itself, spanning from the red drum at the shoals, flounder, the summer structure species, and the sight casting to the red drum and the striper. Number 3 is the cold water species with detailed instruction on the winter targets, tautog, and the eastern shore striper fishery. The Chesapeake Bay Tour DVD is a 6-week, 600-mile tour I did around the Chesapeake Bay in 2010. It's kind of filmed in a Survivor Man style, showing everything I do and look for when I'm on a long distance tour. All of these DVDs are available at kayakkevin.com. It's kayakkevin.com and Yak Attack at yakattack.us. Alright.
Any keys I should know about?
Any what?
Any keys I should know about?
What do you mean?
Have you learned anything since you first started doing it?
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Yeah, talk clear, or talk that way as much as you can. But
Try not to jump on top of each other because we're real good at that. So yeah. We step on each other talking like all the time, and we've gotten a lot better at it. We've gotten a lot better at it. The new thing is the Skype thing. The timing of it, it's odd. It's really odd, and that's hard for us because we've gotten this cadence, and to be able to deal with that cadence, which is really the delay's bad, and so it makes the conversation a little weird, but we're getting used to it. But it's podcast number 45, September. It's September.
Here we go. And we went drum fishing today.
It's February 11th. 2015, and we have Capt Reese Bowles from Catchin with Capt Reese show on WTAR and Saturday mornings at 6 to 8 a.m. And right off the bat, I'm gonna say that you were probably, between you and Rick, you guys were the first ones to put me in the media when I started doing the kayak fishing around here. So you and Rick are definitely the ones that got me out in front and viewed and be able to be seen, for me to be able to keep doing what I was doing. So you guys set me up right, and that's why I'm stoked to have you on.
Over all the years, I've fished around and with some really crazy people. But when I saw some of the things you did in the beginning, I said, I gotta get that idiot on the air.
That's right.
And we got Lee, and we're at Lee's house.
Thanks for having us, Lee.
Yeah, man. I like doing it here. It's easy for everyone. I mean, it's a private room down here, so as soon as we close it off, it's the only thing I do down here.
Yeah.
The podcast is the only thing that goes on down here, except I walk the dogs in and out to go in the backyard.
So they totally made like a studio. In
Yeah,
so,
this stuff doesn't go down. It always looks like.
Are
this.
we right on the water here?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a building in between us because, yeah, I live in the middle building, but yeah.
I could text you and say, what's the water look like?
Oh yeah, I mean all I have to do, it's 100 steps or less.
Okay.
And I'm on top of the dune looking as far, I mean I can see to the curve. As long as the visibility's good.
I didn't grow up spending much time over in this area.
I didn't either.
We went to Ocean View Pier a few times when I was young.
Well, you're a beach guy. You grew up in the beach.
Yeah.
So did Lee. So,
I grew up in Virginia Beach, but not in the, I grew up at Sandbridge when I was at the beach until I was in my teenage years, and then I was one of the guys that was, when the water actually was underneath of the Virginia Beach fishing pier, up underneath the restaurant, I was one of the guys that used to run out from underneath there on the skim boards and do the flips and all that.
Oh, there you go.
We did all that down there, but I grew up in Green Run, so I wasn't down at the ocean front. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Except work. I worked down there from the time I was 15 until, I mean, I still work down there every now and then.
Nothing wrong with the ocean front from September until about the 1st of June.
Yeah.
Then it starts getting a little nuts.
When we used to fish Rudy more, it was summertime was like you have your time before the jet skis go out all the time and that really gets a lot of traffic. But when we used to go, we had that cutoff time.
Did you come down to the boat show last weekend?
No, I didn't.
It was kind of the same, similar boat show, although there were some new dealers and some new businesses down there. I was pretty impressed. Russ Costinas does one heck of a job getting everybody packed in there and then running the show. And then Karen and Ed Schrader said when it was time to leave and they opened the door, it was like a massive flow of equipment, people, humans. You couldn't get anywhere near the door to load your stuff up.
Yeah. Well, they had all those boats in there. I mean, that thing's huge. You know, it's a huge space too.
I thought they did a nice job.
Yeah.
They used to. I remember back in the day, it was in Hampton, wasn't it? Wasn't the big boat show in Hampton before Bass Pro was over there? Because I remember driving across there when my dad bought his Tracker Pro 17. And all the boats were in Hampton Coliseum, and everything that didn't have like consoles or everything was underneath the seat. You know what I mean? Because you can walk around underneath of there.
Right.
So everything that wasn't in, didn't have consoles and stuff was under there. Bass boats and all the ski boats, and then your fishing boats with the consoles and stuff were in the middle.
But in the beginning, we could put all that in one room. I think he had like 3 huge things just packed to the brim all the way around.
Was it? So it was. Yeah. I mean, the last time I went was. Didn't we do? Was it the boat show we did that?
What? I haven't been to this one. I haven't been to that one in a while. It's been a couple of years.
When
since
you had
I've
the
been to
Prince.
That wasn't the one in Hampton. That wasn't the same boat show.
Okay.
That was the guy who was trying to do the fishing show. I don't think he did it this past year. He did like 2 years, one in Richmond, then he did one in Hampton. But I went up this year and did the Doswell fishing show.
I did see that one with all your posts and everything on there.
Yeah.
You're so famous. You're so famous. Give you the ball and let you run with it. Next thing you know, you're all over the world, man.
Yeah, as much as I can.
Well, I think about you pretty often. Every once in a while, Kevin, I remember back to Belize and going out to the island of Ambergris Key, Belize with Zachary. And we were wading knee deep, and bonefish were everywhere. Right in front of the hotel, you didn't need a boat or anything. But you sure could get stuck in the grass and the muck. So you'd lose your balance and stumble, whoosh, 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 and off they'd all go. You'd spook them. So I always thought, man, if Kevin was here, I could take a kayak and ease right up to him and probably catch them one after another. Everything's going okay for you?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, got this going on, and it's wintertime, so I ain't fishing right now. But you just went to, was it Belize you went? You go every year.
We went to Marathon over Christmas.
And that's and I was just telling Lee, the last 2 times I've been on your show was when you went on vacation and me and Damien, did the show.
Well, Damien was just there to keep you company.
Well, this one I did. This one I made the intention to, because every time I come in as a sidekick. I come in as this, the guest or the side.
I came in. I did it once when you weren't there, and then we did it once.
But Damien was always.
Was it the first? Yeah, it was the first fishing DVD.
Yes.
Damien was producing, and me and you were in the studio with him.
Yeah. But Damien's always he always ran the show. This time he let me did the intro. He let me run, and it felt good coming from the year of doing this to that I was able to flow a lot better.
Well, do you feel like you've come a long way since the
Yeah.
first weekend?
Yeah.
I was going through, I freshen up the stuff on the computer every once in a while there at the hotkey page, and I was going through and we had Stank the other day. And I was like,
That's actually a good song. That's actually one of like the last songs I actually
I
wrote.
appreciate that, man. But I giggled, you know. I think of you all the time, and I can't think of, other than Dr. Ken Neal, who's usually out on the boat, anybody who could come in and do as good a job as you do.
Man, I've got stacks. I've got a giant stack of CDs that when I've been in the show, not just called in, but in on the show. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff there. And Elise did the documentary of my Florida tour. A radio documentary. She took all the.
You still got that somewhere?
Yeah, no, it's on my website. And I think the sample, the 10-minute sample, I think it is. But she took every time I was calling in every weekend, whenever I could. That was kind of like my goal, was if I can get to a phone on Saturday morning, I can call in. So that was like kind of like a good goal. And she made a compilation of all that and
she won an award.
Won an award for it, like a radio award. So that was pretty cool.
I said, "Wow, that's really neat. How do you do that?" She said, "Don't ask." I guess she spent as many hours on that as you do on a DVD.
Yeah, definitely.
People have no idea.
Yeah,
they have no idea.
Yeah,
literally. I mean,
what's funny is Rob,
you literally have times a day when you can't call him. You know what I mean? It's just, and anytime you go over there, it's always one of those screens has the movie editing or video editing stuff on it, and it's stopped and paused somewhere in this little wave thing, and down below it is the sound on another angle, and he's just lining like. I mean, and it's constant.
I do it myself.
It's constant.
I do.
Yeah,
I do it myself.
Yeah.
A long time ago, one of the fellas from ESPN2 came from one of Virginia Beach Red, White, and Blue Marlin tournament, and I was working it. And he says, "You do a show?" I said, "Yeah, I do a call-in talk show. I'd love to interview you." Norm Isaacs was there too from Big Game Fishing Hawaii, and Rudy Bosch. And anyway, it was really neat. And I was just starting off in my career, and there was a guy from ESPN2, and I said, "I think I could do a fishing TV show." And he said, "Great, we'd be glad to air it for you." And I said, "Okay, well, we'll start this summer, and I'll do one a week." And he said, "Oh, no, you don't. You have to have 13 shows in a can before we even talk about running it on the air." And I was like, "Oh, I got to start making some DVDs, huh?" But with what you see nowadays and what I put on sometimes, or I'm working on at school or at home, the quality of what we have is just as well.
Yeah. What the camera's
the hands-on stuff is a lot. The homemade stuff is definitely a different quality than these TV shows.
Well,
and especially,
I
I have an issue with the TV shows and the way the boats. I mean, you can. It's okay. I know you've traveled or whatever, but a lot of times the boats aren't even rigged at all. I've seen trips where guys don't even have paddles. You know what I mean? Like on TV. I've seen the best kayak fishermen, or the most famous kayak fishermen in the world. Just drop his paddle in the water because he's not used to having it. You know what I mean? Like, and you know who I'm talking about. But I've seen him drop it in the water. And so, I mean, I don't know. The kayak fishing shows are just weird.
Whatever happened?
Chad's show is pretty. Really,
because he's entertaining.
Yeah,
and they push the entertainment side of that, which is because
all
he
of
can
this,
do it.
And I mean, all of this stuff. I mean, the Hawaiian guys, their offshore fishing is awesome, but the stuff on TV that's all mothershipped out doesn't even. The boats don't even look rigged. They're not.
It's not even that. It's just even the regular TV shows are kind of like. I was flipping by and I saw. I was like, oh shit, there's still fishing shows on because I haven't watched them in so long.
Where'd you find those?
No, the World Fishing Network apparently. 34. They come on sometimes, but World Fishing Network shows all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess.
Wicked Tuna's starting up again this week.
See, I've never even seen that.
Oh, you need to be on one of them. When they got the 1,000-pounders rolling and a pinching of fish, you need to be popping the kayak over the side going, all right.
We've done it. I'm not Kevin, but I've done it.
They've done it.
You were with
Matt and Rick that day.
Rick Burnley.
Yeah.
And how did that go for you, Bob?
No, I mean, it was the most powerful thing I've ever hooked.
Yeah.
You know, it was amazing.
Here's the problem, because for almost a year later, anything he hooked after that was like, oh, this ain't a bluefin. So I was like,
Right,
shut
it was
up,
like literally
Jesus.
a life-changing-
He just couldn't anything. Tog was like, oh, this is a good tog, but it ain't a bluefin. It's like I didn't hear that for a fucking year. I was over that shit.
I mean, it was like hooking a freight train. I mean, and I don't know how many I hooked that day. I tell people 7 or 8, but every time I decided to drop a bait down, it got hooked. My ballyhoo only got bit once or twice. What we would do is we were really close to the break out of Hatteras on the Big Tahuna, and Kenny was the mate still then. And we would put out near the break, and I mean, you could see him coming down the waves. You could look down. You didn't want to look in the water. I mean, the tuna were in the water, the sharks were in the water. I mean, it's big hammerheads. They're not doing anything. You've seen the big hammerheads out there. Until you get something really bloody, they don't do anything. They're not. They're just in the winter. They're just cruising, and they're in 2s, 3s, 4s. You know, whatever. The big fins out of the water, but it's still sketchy. And tunas are everywhere. So every time we put a bait in the water, you got a bite. It didn't matter. I mean, jig, 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 and you would hook up to a fish. And I think the longest I had went almost 7 or 8 minutes. Mm-hmm. And at that point, you think you're finally settled in, and then another one just swims through the line. And it just breaks somewhere in the middle. Like, you have no control over it whatsoever. Finally, I mean,
that's the thing I didn't even think about.
Right.
Until they came back and I was
so many of them.
I was like, how did he break it off? He's like, that. And I was like, whoa, wow, okay. I totally see that.
I mean, you finally settle in and think, okay, well, this, I mean, it's accomplishable. You've turned around and started cranking on the reel. You know what I mean?
There's a lift
for the first time.
Hope, right?
For the first time. You know what I mean? You've turned around and you're getting line back on the reel. Because these things, they run all kinds of ways. So you're going to eventually, you know, in the kayak, they slow down and figure out what's going on. By that time, you start to catch up to them. You know what I mean? Cut. Gone. Just gone. Like that. I don't know that I broke any line on my own that day, because I don't think you can break 65-pound braid and 120-pound leader from a kayak without something else going terribly wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure that we were just getting the braid would just be broke somewhere in the middle. We're just getting cut off. So eventually it got towards the end of the day. I've probably told this a million times on here.
Oh.
But anyway, no. It's really
put one
fast.
in the kayak or not?
Matt did. We hooked
No,
close
that's
to the
not
break.
what I said. Did you put one in the kayak?
No, we got close to the
Why do you
break.
waste everybody's time on a story like that for?
Yeah, we got close to the break, and Rick and Matt were paddling away from me, and all of a sudden I seen a blow up, and Rick looks back, and nothing's tight, and then all of a sudden I see another blow, because we had to go back to get re-ballyhooed and stuff like that, more jigs, because we're just cutting everything off. Matt blows up, and all of a sudden his reel goes crazy. Anyway, an hour and a half. We saw it in 20 minutes. We got ready to gaff it. An hour and 10 minutes later, we actually put a gaff in it. It came up and just looked at what was going on, and then we saw it again. We saw it again an hour and some change later. I came around from the other side, and I was getting ready to gaff it. So I'm reaching, and all of a sudden, it disappears out of the ocean. Kenny has reached from the boat, and just, this thing's gone. Up in the boat.
Yeah.
Up in the boat.
Well, they were trying to gaff it.
We were gonna I was trying to pull it across him and I so he could get a picture of it.
Right, that was the picture.
Is that really a smart thing to do?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Especially with me on the other side of him, pulling it straight across him.
That's the way Salmons does it. I mean, that's the way Salmons does it. The way he does the sail fishing. When he guides, people were never caught up.
And none of us had ever dealt with a fish like that before, so that was. I mean, that's what we had seen, so that's what we were going to do.
Exactly.
You know.
Exactly.
Well, I got a new one for you.
What's that?
Zachary showed me a new trick this year. You go out there and you troll all around the canyon trying to catch a marlin, and if you see one or two, you did good. Not anymore, buddy.
That's right. Well, it hadn't been like that in years for trollers anyway.
Hold on, so Zachary is Zach
from Oceans East,
and who's his charter?
Catherine Ann.
Is that who's
now? Yeah.
Okay.
He worked for David Wright a couple of years, and now he's on the Catherine Ann.
Okay, cool.
Okay, where's that? Is that still Rudy?
Yes.
And I mean, Zach, I want to get Zach in here too. Because,
okay.
Last summer, when people were catching one or two marlins, Randy Butler came home and had 9 flags flying. And everybody said, yeah, he cheated though, he cheated. And the next day everybody comes in, they got 1 or 2, Top Boat's got 3, Randy Butler's got 16.
Yeah, that's right.
And they said he cheated. Well, look, he's getting a charter every day because the people see all the flags flying and nobody caught the marlin.
Live bait.
All right. They got the Sabuki rig, and they troll along the edge of the drop off until they mark the pot of bait. And then they drop the rig down, and if you let it down kind of slow instead of free spool, eventually it'll go through a pack of bait and it'll quit falling. You're like, am I to the bottom all right? No. You got 6 tinker mackerels on.
Right.
Each one weighs a pound and a half to 2 pounds.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And
They're
they
fighting
swim
each other
like
all over this rig,
torpedoes.
though.
So you're fighting and it's bent over double and you're fighting and you're cranking it up and you get it up to the boat and you see, man, I got like 5, and you swing it into the boat and there's a white marlin just
Yeah, they said a lot of times they just follow them up, and that's
Did
where
you
they
see
start
that?
catching them.
white marlin.
There was a white marlin right there. You should have left him at what, on the Sabuki rig, right? So first thing I learned was they had so many scales on them. You can't grab one by the head and do. No, when you put them in the live well, you hold the sinker out to the side and grab it with a bait hook and watch, and they'll fall in the live well, so you didn't have to touch them. But when you take them out in the little net and you get ready to fix him to fish with, you got to hold him under your arm like this so that you can hold his head to get to it.
That
and
big?
he's
Yeah,
going,
okay.
he's going under your arm, and he's like a little tuna. I mean, he's paddling big time, buddy. And you would think that that would harm him, but they took
Next is worse.
a sewing needle, not necessarily.
No. What
That's-
comes after this?
When it gets in the water.
They took the sewing needle. There's an open eye. There's a difference because some of the needles are you got to stick the dental floss through. This one's just got a hook on the end of the needle. So they take the needle, and in front of the eyeballs is a clear section, and he jabbed the little thing through the clear section, and I was like, oh. Then he hung a rubber band on the other end of it. And as he pulled it through, he had rubber band on both sides. So he put his little circle hook in there, and he wound it around 5 or 6 times like that, and then hooked it back underneath it. And I was like, that's the way they do for the big black
Yeah,
marlins
that's
down
how they
in
do.
Panama,
I mean,
right?
that's a live bait tuna rig.
So-
bridled.
It's right
He puts
before
it up in the rigger, and they kick the boat ahead, and he's letting the line go out a little bit, and the thing's on the surface, and it's like, man, you just know something's going to eat that. So he gets another one out, and we're getting ready to rig another one, and he gets the hook going, and gets it in there, and when you drop it overboard, it doesn't just lay, phew, he takes off. So he takes off, and he's putting one up in the other rigger, and all of a sudden this one comes out, and he goes, man, the clip's too loose, man. He picks it, oh, wait a minute. Hooked up white marlin. I thought, holy camolies. So a couple of days later, they invited me to go on a trip with them. And it was really, I've been to Venezuela and caught 9 blues in a sail one day
Damn.
with Jimmy Grant from the Waterman. Had the Waterman down there. And I've been to Costa Rica where we caught 17 sails with Troy, and we had a great time. And I was with Steve Richardson, and we caught 17 white ones.
Jesus.
But I never been during the off season, because they ain't catching them, where you could stop on the bait and jig the bait and crank the bait up, and by the time you put the bait out in the rigger, you're not trolling fast. You're 4 knots or less. Just enough
Keep
to
the bait on-
keep
keep
the
the bait on
line
top.
tight
Yeah.
and keep it where you could see it. So if you were going real slow while you were going, the captain said, how many baits we got? I don't know, we got 4 in there. He said, well, the next time I go over, I'm marking some big pods of bait. You grab the Sabuki rig and drop it over, and we'll get a couple more baits while we're trolling with the thing. And sure enough, I'm down there, and I hooked it, and there it's going, and I'm cranking it up, and I got 6 on the thing, and I swung it in the boat, and this rigger popped down. They went, holy cow, look at that. And it was going ape trying to chase this. The mackerels swim in a straight line until a marlin comes around.
That's right.
And he's over there, and he's over here, and he's topping and skipping and laying on his side. It was cracking me up. It was the most awesome bite that I had seen.
But it's crazy what they're saying it's cheating,
Doing
but
that.
you're still trolling.
I heard
But you're
guys
trolling with live
say, you're training them to eat live bait. Nobody will be able to catch them on a belly.
You're training them to eat live bait.
Right.
What do you think about
Yeah.
that?
They're
comment?
training them to eat.
Yeah.
They don't normally eat live. I don't
No.
think they normally eat live bait.
No, not at all.
And it's not. I hear that it's not natural to fish with live bait, but I cannot think of anything more natural than feeding a fish to a fish.
I hear
myself. Like I hear. I don't feel this way. I mean, I just. there's nothing more natural than feeding a fish to a fish. I'm not a fan of going to dung bobbers in the cove because it's not my thing, but I don't hate on people that do it. It's not. It's just not something I enjoy. It's too cold. I don't.
I mean, shit. We live bait for reds at the same time we're jigging for them.
Right.
Yeah.
I fish with live bait.
Yeah.
I liked it. I thought it was really neat.
Oh, yeah.
I liked the circle hook.
Well, plus you have that action of a bait freaking out. When we have that thing, we have that with the eels when we're striper fishing. When we used to catch them at the ships, we would sit there and they would do bounces, and they would go whoa, and then what's going on? I mean, it's on a movie of him going. Something my eel just went ape shit for some reason, and then zip boom, and he hooks up. I mean, because it freaks out right before a striper hits. So that's the fun of live bait.
I mean, he's got that 18-inch leader before that 2 or 3 ounce sinker, man. He moves to the right or left, and that's
You're trying to break even in the charter business.
Right.
You're not in it to make money.
Right.
So if you're trying to break even and people come down on the docks in the afternoon and they're going to charter a boat tomorrow or the next day while they're here on vacation, are you going to charter the guy that caught 1? Or are you going to charter the guy that caught 14?
right.
Well, and say I'm a fisherman and I want to cast the one, right? Okay, I can cast artificials, but I could also cast a live bait and watch the thing freak out and then zoom. I mean, either way, for me, it's gonna that interaction is gonna happen.
You can catch white marlin on spinning rods with the live bait too.
Yeah.
I mean, almost.
When I cast,
there's no marlins out there.
Right.
That's what gets me. 7 boats are trolling and catching 1 or 2 in a day. Running to the canyon, the top boat got 3 down there running to the cigar. Somebody had 4 yesterday. And this guy's catching 13. I'm thinking, you know what? I want to ride with you and learn what's going on. I learned that you cannot keep a tinker mackerel alive in a rectangular cooler.
That's right.
That's one of those.
You gotta have sight. You gotta be able to go. It can be a rectangle, but you better have rounded corners for it to be able to go around. I understand Steve Richardson used a live tinker at night and caught a sword this last summer, doing the same kind of thing, just bumping them in and out of gear to keep them tight.
Down deep or up top?
On the surface.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
Dude, they caught one at, I can't remember if it was the beginning of last spring or the spring before at Oregon Inlet. They caught one on the troll tuna fishing. Yeah. I mean, it happens. They eat. I mean, they still harpoon them up in Massachusetts and Maine.
Yeah.
They still, they still harpoon them up there.
Yeah.
So.
It's possible.
Yeah, it's possible.
I think that you could definitely take a tinker mackerel in a kayak.
If you keep it alive, you can't keep it.
No. We got it alive and we put it in the water. You get in the kayak, you take the rod.
Yeah.
And let me catch a stringer of tinkers, and when I crank them up, there'll be 3 marlins fighting over.
Oh, you won't even need that though. If you're over top of the school and you just have the one and put it on the hook, and it tries to get back down to the school. That's gonna get enough attention. You're not, you know what I mean?
All solo.
Yeah, he's coming back down. Hey, buddy. They're like, no. Hey, buddy.
Just like that one time we had one of our probably most epic day on the drift out there with stripers, where we're catching 2 at a time and all this other stuff.
The first day ever.
And we had our eel would escape and was like, well, you were better off in this boat because you're not gonna make it
that
now.
was the first time I ever went out with him striper fishing. It was like you hadn't been very many times.
Yeah.
You went the day before, but I was still togging.
Yeah.
I was still togging at New Year's that day because the next day we went, we couldn't keep them, so it was New Year's.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. But the bite was still.
Yeah, I was still catching togs at the island.
Yeah.
But trying to break, get another citation for something.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happened to all the rockfish. I hope your buddy tomorrow night can tell us.
Well, Rob Alderman just went out out of North Carolina and
did you see that stuff?
Did you see that? You friends with Rob Alderman on Facebook? He's they went out and they got permission to go
Marine Services
to target striper out there past the line, tag them. They were doing research. They caught over 200. They went into acres of them out there.
I thought they said 2,000.
Yeah.
Something.
No,
yeah,
it was
200
in 2 days or something like that.
202 days.
2 days.
Yeah.
Could you imagine tagging 2,000 stripers in 2 days?
Just 200. And got the samples. They got scale samples. I mean, they really and they caught one up to 68 pounds or something like that. So I mean, they're out where they are is they're just changing their migration patterns. I'm thinking, but yeah, Ken Neal will probably have a little.
Do you
bit more
think
than
they
that.
get smart?
No, I think that just shit happens. I think
You
just
don't
water.
think they learned eventually that inside 3 miles, 5,000 boats with 6 lines on each boat are killing us every day.
6.
I'm just saying.
On average.
Don't you think?
I don't know. I don't think that's going to affect their migratory patterns.
It hasn't affected
Somebody who lived through it had to say, okay, this year we're staying just outside of 3
I
miles.
don't know, man. We're catching more and more drum every year. These dumbass things.
But they're also
we're throwing them back.
they're
too.
also not as targeted as hard because they're sport fish. They're fight only.
Somebody said they were going to charge you $100 and let you kill one a year. Have you heard that rumor?
I am okay with that.
I would think I would buy the
I'm
tag.
okay with that for.
I'm never going to kill
record.
one unless I think it's a
Well,
record.
I don't think you should buy it for $100 because I worry sometimes about the money we spend for the fisheries.
Right.
And where it ends up going to some emergency city budget or
Right.
something.
Don't-
That's
Right.
a really touchy
Yeah, yeah,
subject
yeah,
with
yeah.
me over
But-
the
but-
years.
but
But
that
the
situation-
philosophy
yes, I'm good
of
with that.
purchasing the money, if the money went directly to the red drum people
Yeah.
instead of to the bureaucracy that trickled back down with just a little portion of that
Yep.
to the red drum people, I wouldn't have a problem with that. And back in the day, we kept a couple of big ones and we cooked them and ate them. And I'd rather have one that was 19 inches long.
I don't want to
I
eat
don't even
one.
like 'em.
I don't want to eat one.
Yeah.
I would buy the permit in
If-
case I catch the one.
Yeah. And
They're starting to get bigger.
yeah,
They're getting
Yeah, they
bigger.
are.
How many years has the
Well,
27 and over been in effect now?
Oh, it's in 96? 96?
96?
Yeah, 96 is when they stopped killing the
That's
big ones.
damn near 20 years of being able to
It's
grow
awesome.
bigger and
These
bigger.
fish, are,
awesome.
these fish are getting bigger,
It's
man.
awesome.
We're catching bigger ones every year.
Yeah, we catch big.
We're
ones
catching.
every year.
No, literally,
Yeah.
we're catching bigger ones
every year. I catch a bigger one. I up my best.
The
of
one
them.
I can't remember what
Damien's
the one I
caught a
caught with Rick
giant
was,
one.
but it was giant.
Yeah.
The one I caught with
Yeah.
Rick this year at the end of the season was giant.
Yeah.
Cold, big.
Yeah, I mean, we used to be one of us out of the group would catch a 50. Right now we're catching a 50 each. Each one of us is catching a 50. At least.
I mean, yeah. And normally, if 3 or 4 people go, 50 is normal during that trip.
Yeah.
Now, didn't you used to spend a lot of time this time of year and in the spring targeting the speckled trout? Oh, you were going for your master
Yeah, I quit.
catch 'em all.
I quit
list
going
or
to
something.
the Elizabeth River
When it got popular.
No, once I got my expert, I quit going. I was like, I don't need to go there. We target them here when they come through our neighborhood here. We have about 2 weeks where we target them, and we can catch trophies.
Sometimes we catch really nice ones.
yeah. Some
night before last, Norfolk Anglers Club had a meeting that I went to. Zachary was speaking actually on the live baiting thing and some speckled trout, and at the meeting there was a fellow that said, I went over there and we didn't have but one bite all day, but we went back the next day and I was thinking, man. And he said, we caught 37 of them. And my buddy caught one that was 10 pounds, 4 ounces. And I'm thinking, how can you go from nothing one day to being in the middle of all the speckled trout in the
Yeah.
world the next?
Somebody put a net up in there this weekend or something, I hear.
You reckon the net's got any holes in it?
I think they know. And the Marine Services went in and took it out.
Oh,
but it was
okay.
loaded.
Yeah.
I would
The
think
picture looked like it was loaded anyway. Stupid
What-
speckled trout all in it.
What was the Texas record? Like 15, right? Texas is the world record or something,
Yeah,
right? I think
big.
we just had a guy out from Texas, and I think they have the world record, and when it's a 15 or something like that. And we're close.
There's something
but-
that big.
Yeah.
In there.
Yeah. Yeah.
they're glowing.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't know.
Actually, I bet it will be caught up the bay, just like our state record was. I mean, it was a couple Mason's Beach. That's on the
Oh.
eastern shore.
Was it 5 years ago or so? I saw. I can't remember exactly what they were, but I think they were 18 something, 17 something, and 15 something pound gray trout.
Yeah.
In the fish market on the eastern shore, as soon as you go over on the left,
Dead as fuck.
dead as hell. Oh yeah, they come from a net up on the eastern shore, but I mean this was like 18 or 19
monster.
pounds. I mean I asked her to put them on the scales just because I had to see. I was like, I'm not gonna buy them, but I have to know what those weigh.
Yeah.
That's the most. Because I mean, it was only a couple years after I caught that 12-pounder.
It was, yeah, and with the decline of those things, it was almost a shock to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I
What a
walked
monster.
past it,
Yeah.
turned around, and my jaw just hit the floor. I was like, what?
Because initially you maybe just out of the side of your head thought it was a speck or something, right? Just
No.
speck.
I mean, I know what it was. I mean, as soon as I realized it was a trout that was that big.
Yeah, any trout. And then it was being a
Because I didn't go in there to buy fish from the fish market, man. I went in there to order a fried oyster sandwich.
Yeah.
So.
This place is awesome. Too.
They were having a taut dog discussion the other day, and they said by the time you bought all your crabs,
Oh yeah.
and then you lose the lead that you lose, and then you pay for the fuel to go fishing, you'd be better off to go buy 3 togs from the fish market.
That's right. Oh,
Yeah.
anything.
Hot dog, yeah,
Anything.
yeah. Anything.
Even kayak fishing.
Yeah.
Even kayak fishing. It's more. It's cheaper to go
if you really
buy them at the store.
Yeah, if you really just want.
If you are going for meat, fishing is not the way to go. Especially not for togs, though. The hooks are $1 and some change a piece. Sinkers are anywhere from $1.60 to $2 and some change.
That's $30 for me right there. The way I tog fish. They said the tog lives in a hole. Well, I found all the holes.
That's right. I ain't caught no togs, but I found these holes.
I found the holes.
And we did good last time, not breaking off.
Yeah, we lost very
I went on
few
the boat.
rigs that day. He went with Rick and I a few weeks ago. Right after
New Year's.
right after New Year's.
New Year's Day. I went on a boat.
We
Last
smoked.
time-
I mean, we smoked
I was
from
on
the
a
time
boat
we
New
set.
Year's too. This year, I was on a boat New Year's
Where we all
Day.
at?
We were in Marathon down in the Keys.
Yeah.
And Nancy we went to some sandbar. It was crystal clear, white and warm, and we were waiting. And she was floating around on the noodle, and I put the phone on. And I said, tell everybody Happy New Year's, dear. And she said, here it is, New Year's Day. It's 75 degrees, and the water's 74 degrees, and I'm here, and you're not. I was like, honey, I don't think that's quite the way you meant. I put it on there anyway.
Yep. Yep.
You are what you are. That's an amazing place. You know, I gave her a hard time while we were down there.
You've been down there
You know
before,
how it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a sign on your truck. Does somebody know how to identify you as Kayak Kevin
No,
without
me?
actually seeing your face?
No, I have a sticker, but no.
Okay, well, I
it's
got
not
the
like
Catchin
you.
with Capt Reese
Yeah.
sticker.
Yeah.
And Capt Reese for
Cat
100
trees.
years. And everywhere, if I'm sitting
Cat
at a
trees.
stoplight, you hear beep, 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 beep. And Nancy's like, who's that? And I said, I don't know, honey. Well, they're beeping at you. Well, I don't know who it is. Well, you know, after a couple of years of that, when she says, who's that? I start, well, that's Dr. John. Dr. John, what's he do? Oh, he's a proctologist. Really? Where does he live? I said, at the end of the road, honey. Really? Which road is that? The Brown Road. You know, Brown Street, don't you? And I'd go all off on the car. And she's like, really?
That's right.
And finally, she's like, "You're a jerk. I hate you." And I said, "Well, you keep asking me. I don't know." It was the same thing down in the Keys. They just wanted to catch a fish. Well, hell, I don't know what I'm doing. First time we were there, I took 2 bottom rigs and some bloodworm fish bites. We caught about 10 fish, about this big. I'm holding it out to the camera. And they were different colored fish and interesting, but we didn't really get anything. I think Nancy hooked a manatee one time. And it was dumping her on the spinning reel, going with the tide, and it eventually pulled off. I told her it was a tarpon. But when we went this time, I took some more stuff with me and the spinning rods to go with it. And I bought the shrimp from the tackle shop across the street. Each morning, I buy 3 dozen shrimp. They had a live well on the boat. Well, I didn't put a whole lot of shrimp. I cut the shrimp up in chunks. The girls aren't afraid to touch shrimp. You put a bloodworm out there, they ain't picking it up. You fillet a mullet and chunk it, they ain't picking it up. But you put a piece of shrimp out there, they'll pick that up, put it on the hook themselves. So we go to anchor up, and I put out the anchor, and we throw the shrimp out, and it's not 2 minutes. I put a chum bag in the water, and somebody catches a fish. What kind is that? Oh, it's a yellowtail. It's very nice. Somebody catches another fish. What kind is that? Oh, I don't know. Grunt? It's a grunt, right? Okay, good. We throw that one back. They catch another. What kind is that? I don't know. It kind of looks like a grunt, but it's got purple stripe. I can see what kind of stripe. I don't know what kind it is. And I'm thinking I would like to take a picture with my phone and have the app that says, oh, that's the great blue-eyed, proud so-and-so. And then you know what it was? So I got home and I said, Zachary, I got an idea, make $1 million. Catch a fish, no matter where you are, take a picture of the fish? And our site will tell you. He said, oh, you mean like identifyfish.com? Holy cow. Dayla ain't a dollar short. But I thought it'd be a good idea. So I did the same thing to him down there. We're catching fish after fish after fish, 2 at a time, fish after fish. And I started making up names. And she would giggle at the names I was making up to try and make the different names of the fish.
Just catching fish of a different kind.
Well, all of a sudden, the year before when she accidentally hooked the manatee, I said, honey, hold on to it. We'll have to pull the anchor. We'll have to chase it. You just keep your tip up and do you need help, whatever? Okay, so she's like, help me.
You have a boat down there?
Help me. We rented one.
Okay, cool.
Help me. Well, this year we're with a friends of ours, Jack and Kathy Harcourt. And Jack and Kathy Harcourt are off the stern, and they're catching them every cast. And Nancy's up on the bow, and all of a sudden I hear, holy shit. And I look up there, and now I've been to Oceans East, and I bought her the pink curly fishing rod with the reel that lights up when the spool goes around, okay? And that was a Christmas gift for her to take to the
Got a
Keys.
2-pound test on it.
So she got that thing up on the bow, and I adjusted the drag and everything, and I hear, holy shit. And I turn around and look, and her pink rod from where she's holding it in the handle is bent straight out at the water. And I said, oh my God, honey, what do you got? Just hold on, honey. 5 minutes, 10 minutes later, 4 or 5 good runs, long screeching runs. She brings in a bonnet shark that weighed about 4 or 5, a bonnet or a bonnet head, hammerhead.
Yeah.
It looked kind of like a hammerhead.
Yeah, but a bonnet head shark.
Yeah.
Well, you'd have thought she caught Jaws, man. And the line screaming, and Jack says, Nancy, you want me to take it? She says, fuck you. It's my pole. Get away from me. And I was like, that's my girl right there, man. That's my girl. So anyway, we go back to fishing. They nicknamed it Nancy's Vodka Cut. She's the vodka cut queen because she caught almost every species in there.
Wow.
The next day when we got out of there, Jack said, I'm going to take you lobster into my special lobster hole. And I'm thinking, I like lobster.
Yeah.
Have you ever had lobster on the grill?
Yeah.
That you caught?
No.
Me neither. I never ever caught a lobster.
No, my parents have had friends that lived up north that have brought lobsters that they got. I mean, they lived right on the coast in Boston, but no.
These
I
are
never caught my-
langostas.
I have,
Langostas with no claws.
I was with Ken last year, and he caught a lobster, which was he caught 2 last year. Weirdest thing ever. So the first one he catches, they brought home. The second one he catches, he gets up, and he literally, this man fishes enough. He's reeling the lobster up, and he gets about 10 cranks on the reel. He's like, I think I got another lobster. This is like the second lobster of his life. Then he's caught on rod and reel.
And he identified
He's like,
his catch.
On the way out.
Yeah, he's like, I think I got another lobster. What? He reels it up, like solid 2 1/4, 2.5 pound, beautiful. Like
Wow.
one of the guys on the boat flips it over and it's a female and has eggs. Somehow he talks Ken into throwing this thing back over with, despite Ken's will to not throw this thing back over with. He talks him into throwing it back over with because it has eggs. So the next time I went with him, we're talking about it, and he's like, yeah, man, I talked to my buddy, and he was like, lobsters really only move around at night. If you caught them during the day, and 2 of them, the water's full of them there. And he's like, and as far as Ken can tell, there's no real, there's no recreational, limit of harvest of deep water lobsters in Virginia. You know what I mean?
If there was, he would know.
Right.
And he threw it back.
Yeah.
Well, I had those female.
No, I mean, yeah.
Okay, so...
But he kept the first one, and Trish ate that. His wife annihilated that, and I'm pretty sure he said she was not going to be happy about the release of the second one.
So we end up, the guy takes me to a special place, and he says, you follow me, and here, this is called a tickle stick, and when you see the lobster in the hole, you stick the stick out, and you hold the net down there, and remember he swims backwards. Because if you put the net in the wrong place,
that's right.
He'd go missing. So he says, look for the tentacles coming out from any structure. If there's a cave or a crevice, we're only in 8 feet of water, 6 feet of water. And he says, look for them. So he's off going, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm looking. I'm looking in the mask. I'm snorkeling along. I got all this stuff in my hands, and I look down and I see 2 tentacles, and they must have been this long. And I said,
there that bastard is.
whoa, come over here. What is it, Reese? man, there's a monster right here underneath of me. We're going to get the ball started right. I want you to do it so I can learn how to do it. So he goes down, and I'm watching it. He tickles it, and it swims out into the net, and he comes up to the surface, and I pop my head off and pull my mask up. It was about that big. I said, damn! I thought it was a 2-pounder. The magnification of being under the water. I said, I couldn't imagine if you saw one that was 2 pounds, it'd look like it was 20 pounds underwater. So anyway, that was my first experience. We went to 2 or 3 different places in the same hole, and there was 4 cinder blocks stacked up. And each hole in the cinder block had a lobster in it. Of course, they were only
My man's lobster farm.
Yeah.
They went wild hunting first, and then they worked their way on over to my man's lobster farm.
Then I got the stick, and the thing swam backwards, and I got it because I was in the right place. And I'm coming up to go, look at what and he flipped right in when it got. And I was like, well, damn. So anyway, we caught 1 keeper, and I said, good, we got a keeper. He said, yeah, but by the time you split it 4 ways, there ain't gonna be much left. So we threw that one back. But yeah, that was my first time lobstering. I thoroughly enjoyed that.
I could dig that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, we dig catching mole crabs.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a hunt. We hunt for them.
I mean, we literally dig to catch mole crabs.
Right.
No, I mean, we have fun catching mole crabs.
Because not that there's anything wrong with it.
Because it's a hunt. I mean, we're looking for them. We're looking for packs.
We don't want to catch 2 or 3 at a time.
Yeah,
that's not fun.
Yeah, so we're actually running down the beach because they'll move.
Yeah.
I mean,
especially once you start standing in a spot.
If you get in front of them and they smell you, they'll get up and move. If the waves come up and wash down past your legs into them, they'll get up and move. And you have to chase them down. You have to stay away from the beach. And as soon as you see them, I run down, boom, do my dig, get up, and then they'll move again because you just hit that one school.
Yeah, sometimes it's 10 feet, and sometimes you won't see them for 5 or 6 waves, 10 waves.
And
you know?
and now we hunt them from the kayak, so we get right along the shoreline, and as the waves come in, you kind of look. Okay, here's the spot, and we land.
You gotta watch out for them rogue waves, man.
Yeah. When it's like, actually, there's a swell out there right now. When I just went and looked before I came in here, there's a little bit of a swell.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know what's going to be next on the list. I think my next trip's going to be El Salvador.
Huh.
There's a place down there that boasts the longest right-hand braking mechanical wave in the world.
Oh, mechanical wave?
Yes.
So it's a park?
No. It's natural, but it's a giant rocky point and a sandy beach for like 400 yards. So as the tide comes in, it starts to break at the point, and it runs all the way across in front of the hotel and down to the
tidal bore. Yeah,
but
it's mechanical. I thought you went like a park.
I said, so is there certain seasons for the waves? He said, Senor, we got the wave every day. He's mechanical. And I said, okay, cool. I said, I'm just a beginner. Some of these look like they're overhead. Yeah, there's nothing to it, man. You get some balls, you'll be right out there.
There's just one?
Huh?
Just one per day, or one per tide, or I guess with one per day, like the daylight hours because of the tidal.
Oh, I don't know. I think anytime it's in, when it's all the way low, dead low, the water's almost outside the point.
Yeah.
And it looks like they have a tremendous tide, or it's such a low sloping beach. When it's all the way
and
full,
there's probably like a
shore.
low sloping beach followed by an immediate drop off.
Right.
So all the energy of the ocean just hits this, and as the tide comes in, the wave probably gets bigger.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to get the GoPro going.
Yeah.
And I'm working out with the wrestling team every morning now.
Yeah.
And I'm doing well on everything, adapting it to my age.
Yeah.
But they got this one called a burpee.
That's
I
right.
hate burpees.
Everyone hates burpees.
They're lunges. What they are?
No, a burpee is a
squat thrust is what they called it in the old days.
Sprawl.
And then
push up, and then a pop up,
and squat jump,
and then a jump in the air.
Okay.
I mean, I'll do one.
At my age, it's kind of difficult to get my feet back up underneath me. So I said, these really suck. I'm really having a hard time with these, but I need to do them to get ready for the big trip. I want to be in shape.
Getting your feet underneath you is important when you're trying to surf.
So the man told me.
Not only that, but you have to have. This is not a normal wave. This is a wave you're gonna ride for 5 minutes, and you're used to riding for a minute.
I don't know if it's 5 minutes, but It's supposed to be a
ride for
long
seconds.
way.
Oh, okay. I thought it was one of these ones that. Well, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I mean, I know when I went to Sunday River, Maine on a snowboard trip, they had a 3-mile run, and at the end of that, my body was not used to it. My calves were burning.
Right. You're on
because I'm
fire.
used to just speeding, boom, boom, short runs from Mass.
Crash out, boom, roll.
Yeah, it's just short, but this thing was a 3-mile endurance run. I mean, it was a
Oh
jog,
yeah.
it was hurting.
Damien and I did a trail like that a few times at Killington while we were there.
Yeah.
Just for that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We would
Just for that.
because we prefer the Bear Mountain area where we would go through. A lot of it was trail and then some tree stuff, and then you would hit the Burton, which is an the Stash, which is a Burton all natural terrain park. Everything was wood or just like small jumps that they made between trees. Stuff like that. It was cool. They got like a
Stay
house.
away from the trees, ladies. and
So you would go, we would go through there and then hit the rest of Bear Mountain, come down and go on the trail that went next to the big half pipe, so you could see the people like jumping. I want nothing. But
See,
they have
and
a
that's the thing,
22-foot super pipe there.
I could ride that. That's the shit I used to ride.
super pipe?
Well, we
Yeah,
used to have a
22-foot super
quarter. This
pipe.
is a quarter. This was 10. I mean, I could ride it.
Right.
I would.
Oh
ride
yeah,
it.
no. This thing. I
Especially
went through
'cause-
it. I went about 5. It's probably.
I
I want to say 5 or 6 feet up the wall till it turned to like. I mean, they're solid vert and
Yeah.
they're solid ice.
Yeah, it's gonna
I
be
mean,
a vert.
It's as soon as it's vert, it's solid ice.
Yeah.
It's not a. There's not snow.
Yeah.
Unless it's snowing,
It's like
there's no way that can be snow.
It's all rail. It'd be all rail on it.
Yep.
But I haven't ridden in 10 years, and that's
Yeah.
why I'm not going, because I know if I go with you guys, I'll end up trying to jump.
We have a question
Oh, yeah?
from a friend of one of your friends.
Uh-oh.
Oh. Shane wants to know if you can outfish Jimmy Cobb.
I would have to say that if I were fishing against Jimmy Cobb, that 1 out of every 5 days, I could probably hang with him.
Right. That's what I mean.
I would have to say the other 4 days, I go, damn, Jimmy, what'd you do? I mean, I have to say that there's a lot of guys that know how to catch fish that are tight-lipped about it. But if Jimmy Cobb walked by me at the marina, and I said, Jimmy, how you doing? He said, I'm doing really good. Come over here for a minute. I'm doing good because we got this new thing right here we were doing. So you take this, you take $2, and you take you some bait, and you go out there and tell me if I know what I'm talking about. You'll be happy. Bow to the king, Reese. Bow to the king.
I seen some wreck. I don't know where Jimmy Cobb comes in or out of, and I don't know. But speaking of tight-lipped guys, it was right the end of the summer, probably middle of the fall. Right when wreck fishing. Actually, it was right when wreck fishing was real good. It was right around the time we did the what is the tournament? The club challenge.
Anglers Club
August.
Challenge.
The club challenge. Yeah. So it was then. It was right around that time. Anyway, I was at the ramp at Little Creek, and there was a guy up there, and we were launching, and I looked up there, and all I saw, giant flounder. I mean, he had a limit. There was 4 guys standing there, and they had a limit of giant flounder, 3, 4, 5 pound sea bass. Not a bunch of them, but a few of them, and giant triggerfish. And I just looked at him, and I was like, "Man, that's an awesome day for the wrecks, guys." And the guy just looked at me and was like, "Meh." That's all he had to say as I was launching my kayak and going away.
Well, Jimmy Cobb, he went to all the Julie Ball seminars, didn't he? I think he saw all the ones. He was telling me a few secrets about it. Said something about, and I better not give away any secrets that he told me. Let's put it this way. I put the rig on. I did what he told me to do. I went out there and I caught a big fat flounder. And I was very happy. I finally got a citation flounder. And Rick Williams says, if you release it, you could get a paper. The hell?
No!
I don't need any paper. Put the fish in the cooler.
Cooler, ice. This thing likes ice a lot.
I go back there to open the cooler, just take another gander, because I never caught a flounder over 8 pounds. It's gone. I said, where's my flounder? He said, I let it go so you can get your paper. Man, don't you ever do that again, boy. I tell you
How
what.
big was it?
27 inches or something.
So
I didn't
it's-
even go get the paper.
He just trying to. It might have gone weight. That thing might have gone weight.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Sometimes the flounders.
It was big enough for a release citation.
Yeah.
The ones on the wrecks seem skinny to me compared to one you catch under the high rise. It's got a thick brown back.
Right.
The ones on the wrecks seem to be skinny. They're long and they're big, but
Interesting.
I'm not a big flounder eater. I like to
Right.
catch them. I'm not a great flounder fisherman though.
I never met a flounder I didn't like.
all the big ones I've ever hooked, I lost, and it was instant. I mean, it was like you think you have the bottom, and then you're getting ready to pull to break the line, and you feel wham, 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 and the line is loose.
Another flounder swims by and cuts him off, folks.
No, I mean,
they have a story
we also
about
don't
line.
target
I don't target them. And this happened to me a few times at the ODU reef, and one day I saw a guy catch one 10.5 pounds right next to me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was, and I don't know that I lost a big one that day, but I mean, I've seen guys catch them 10.5 pounds right here at the ODU reef.
We run out together in the beginning on a radio boat, and I said, Kevin, we got some minnows and squid here. I heard there's some flounders. I said, what do you think that guy's doing out here? There's not another soul around him. He's not in the edge of the channel. He's not on a shoal. He's just in the middle of the nowhere. I said, Kevin, do you think the guy knows something or hasn't got a clue? So I kick her out of gear, and we're drifting along, and I'm like, no bites. And Kevin says, well, let me put my jig out. He's got his little jig with a chartreuse tail on it. Oh! He catches a freaking flounder right from under our nose. I said, you do that again, I'm tying on a jig. You know what he did? Caught another one. I said, give me a jig.
A gulp.
That's right.
God, Kevin, you love those gulps, don't you?
Yeah. They work pretty well.
We use a lot different stuff now too, though.
What I think about gulps is it's more of a last minute thing. I don't think the scent that they're smelling that from a distance and coming at it. I think they're attracted to it just like any other artificial lure where it's a sight.
Spinning or something?
It's sight, yeah, it's sight, and then when they get up to it, they go, huh, and then maybe smell something right behind it. But I don't think salt water, it moves too much. There's too much shit going on where the scent trail, like they say. I don't think it's that. I think it's when they get up right behind it, it maybe pushes them maybe a little bit more towards biting it when they get right behind it. But I think they're attracted to it visually first.
It's got to be one of my favorites, other than the live baiting of the marlins.
Yeah.
I mean, I love all fishing, but flounder fishing's got to be.
Yeah.
Just give me a tick, and I start getting excited. And I'm like, come on.
Well, a lot of times
baby.
when you go out on the radio boat, that's what you're doing. You're
That's what I
targeting
enjoy
flounder.
doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Plus, I can do it by myself.
Yeah. And you
No.
can get out, and you can drift, you can go away from the structure, you can slide down the channel edges, and that's still an effective fishery. It's always effective.
And even when they're not catching them by the old standard way, that little jig with a little tip on it,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
you can, if you don't catch oyster toads that weigh 4 pounds, you're gonna find a flounder in there, and occasionally a red drum.
We've been measuring oyster toads now because we're catching them so big. I caught a 13-incher, and then that was out of the kayak, and then Lee caught a 16-incher out at the wrecks, out at the towers. 16-incher.
That's a monster.
Yeah.
I think we should have an oyster toad tournament.
It's getting to be like that, and somebody.
I mean,
needs to
just
eat
for
'em.
fun.
Somebody needs to eat them.
Yeah, that I know somebody that eats them.
Yeah,
They
what does it
begged
say?
me to bring them to them.
What does he say?
They said, "You go to Chinese seafood market. You see flounder. What was it? No, you go to Chinese seafood market. You see the big croaker, the croaker 50 cents a pound. You see oyster toad. They call it a big mouth rock toad, $5.95 a pound." And I said, "Really?" And they said, "Oh yeah, very good, just like eating eel." And I said, "Well, you know what? From now on, I'll always bring you those. But don't you ever put any in my sushi when we get ready to do something over here." But that you open up the cooler and that you hand them a 8-pound dolphin. That's nice.
But they want the.
You open the cooler when you got 5 oyster toads in there. 8 of them be. They make soup out of it. They cook the whole thing. They said they cut the gills out of it, but they cook it all head and all and make soup out of it. And they said it's just absolutely delicious.
I'm gonna try one this year then.
Absolutely delicious. $5.95 a pound.
I should have kept
in
you
the
the beast.
seafood
Should have kept the
market.
beast and
Should have kept you the
flayed up
beast.
that tail. Flayed up that tail.
Just
on that
once. Just once. Imagine
Damien
the first
almost
guy
did.
that tried
Damien.
a puffer.
thing. Yeah.
Didn't think it was any good until he ate it,
Right
right?
about that. Right about
Those
that.
things are delicious.
So you've been getting in shape with the wrestling team?
I'm trying, Kevin. They gave me a step. The blue step like the girls use for step aerobics.
Yeah.
And when I do my burpees, I put my hands on the step. And the extra gives me room enough to get there, and I'm up and I'm going. I'm up to 35 a morning now.
Damn. Hell yeah.
3 sets of 6 or 7 pull-ups.
Damn.
Yeah.
We're to run for 10 minutes, which my run is really more like a pitter-patter.
Right.
But I'm breathing hard when I get back from it.
And that's the point.
Yep.
And then a lot of the things they do are core. And I lifted weights, did curls and bench press and flies and dips
Yeah.
but I didn't do much core. So for me to do some of they put the weight on the ground,
Actually,
pick it up,
a lot of that was ignored.
Oh, yeah, warrior lifts.
Well, core. I knew this from my dad. Core, all that core work was ignored back in those days. That's really coming along in the last 20, 30 years. But in the earlier days, when my dad was a coach, he didn't even stretch, and so that was all that stuff has become, of course.
First time I ever met his dad. You ready? I like this one. I like this one. First time I ever met his dad, I am coming out of Old Dominion University, and I'm going to student teach and observe. And they said, you're with Mr. Ken Whitley at Princess Anne High School. So I go over to Coach Whitley, and he's outside doing soccer on the football field. And I go out there with him, and there's one kid comes around, he's messing with him. He keeps messing with him. Well, after a minute or so, he picked the kid up and slammed him on the ground like the WWE. And he turned around, looked at me, and said, we call that individualized education. And it was just, that's the kind of relationship that he had with that kid. So then I says, okay, Ken, seeing how I'm volunteering, are you coaching anything now? Can I help? He said, yeah, we got soccer tryouts. I'd love for you to come out and help with soccer tryouts. And we're going through a skill and a drill, and a boy falls out. And he's in an epileptic seizure, and his eyes are rolled back, and his stuff's and he's going seizures on the ground. And I looked at Ken and I said, what are we doing? He said, keep everybody back. And I thought, God, you gotta help the kid. I didn't know, I wasn't prepared for anything like that. And a couple minutes later, the boy came to, and his eyes rolled back right. And they set him up, and they cleaned his face off and everything. And he's like, oh, okay, I'm good. I'm going to get back in there. And your dad was like, to hell you are, buddy. You're done for the day. I need to see your physical. We need to look at your form. Did you tell him you had epilepsy on that thing? But he was kind of like freaking out. Everybody just stay back. Everybody get back. Don't let him hurt himself. But that was the first time that I met your pop back then. Yeah. And I had no idea when I met you. It was a year before I put Whitley and Whitley together.
Well, the thing is I wanted to make my name without his name. I grew up under, Whitley's son. So it was important for me because I knew people in the fishing world knew who my dad was, and I really wanted to make a name for myself without being Whitley's son, which worked out fine because by the time they figured out I was Whitley's son, they went, oh, that figures. So that worked out well.
8 foot sea, fishing the shoal for red drum in the middle of the night. Yeah. That's Whitley's son.
Yeah, okay. Because I remember I was at the Portsmouth Anglers Club. I was doing a seminar, and somebody said I was Whitley's son, and about 8 faces in the audience went, because they were looking at me like this, and then they went, yeah, gotcha.
I've only been to a couple of your seminars. Yeah, I did. For Green Run.
Green Run. Where'd you wrestle?
Lake Taylor.
United States Marine. Yeah, that was some serious wrestling there. We got 2 or 3 young ladies that come in the morning. We got one that's got a full ride scholarship somewhere going. I think, was she a softball catcher? Huh? She's really good at squats, man. She got giant thighs. Right. And it makes me think, I feel so weak. I'm like a baked potato held up by 2 toothpicks.
Well, that's where girls' powers are. That's where their power is.
She's squatting every day, all the time, catching.
It's hips, ass, and midsection for girls. Our upper body is where our strength is held.
I did.
But it was
36 at 295 for deadlifts today.
That's
what's cool is getting in shape helps your fishing. That's the thing is we both have realized that.
Oh yeah.
We both have gone.
I'm way more comfortable in the kayak for the past 2 years as I was. I mean, I got to where it was, I was always adjusting, and it was just. I understand like people that have been that have been bigger their whole life or whatever. You're used to it and you're used to sitting there. But when I started kayak fishing, I was skinny and small.
Yeah.
And I gained a lot of weight over 5-6 years. And then, in the past 2
But you were
years, it's
just
so much
pudgy
more
looking.
comfortable.
You were just pudgy. You had like kid fat.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's just a pudgy, kid fat looking kid.
Yeah.
I have found that the biggest difference is not the exercise, Kevin. It's the stretching program.
Yeah.
Because I'm stretching 3 times a day. I needed a hip replacement 2 years ago, and I'm not having any pain now.
Yeah.
Right.
I've strengthened my hips. I was having hip issues, and through yoga, and now I've been doing kickboxing for the last 2 years now, just at home, not training like in a place, but just doing it at home, and that alone has strengthened my hips. Just by kicking in the air without hitting a bag is shrinking my hips. So I've been concentrating on it.
This dude at our gym's getting ready to kill his second bag.
Oh yeah,
Second heavy bag. He bought this one though. He killed the first one and bought the second one. But I saw some stretch marks in it today. This guy's getting ready to kill it. We should invite him over to kick the pads. You get to hold them.
Yeah.
The
You want the pad? You want the
impressive.
Yeah. You want the pads to bend?
Here's my little workout before, and this is part of the workout before I.
This was the video
This is
you
today.
posted.
No, this is
Oh.
today.
There you go.
This is today.
Well, see, I had seen something like that with you doing that, and then I saw you in the ring with your hair in a ponytail, and some old guy, and he knocked you on your camera.
That video you put up.
Yeah.
I thought it was you, man.
Well, that's a clear example of that 80-year-old man he has not stopped training. He was training. That was a video that was not some old man that just getting back in the ring. He's never stopped training.
What's the
If you
oldest
go
guy
down-
you guys have met in a kayak? Fishing.
70s.
70s. Yeah.
Really?
70s, yeah. And there's probably guys older than that.
Yeah.
There's a guy on Bayview Avenue, and he's got to be in his upper 60s. And he's like 6-pack ripped. You see him out there in a shirt in the shirtless.
Got old man muscles?
Shirtless in the summer, like hedging. I mean, not hedging, but doing the edges with the half moon thing. You know what I mean? Just this old guy. I mean, he has to do nothing but sit around the house and lift weights all day long.
Yeah.
He is like it's crazy.
Yeah.
He looks like Popeye. You know what I mean? He's that old.
That old, yeah.
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 Popeye.
It's possible. That's the thing. It's possible.
Yeah,
You
I mean,
just
this
gotta
guy is
stay with
taking
it.
care of himself his entire. It's obvious he's taking care of himself his entire life.
Yeah. And well, the stretching thing is something that I always was really important about, even when I was a kid, because I saw guys that were they were feeling old in their 30s, and it was because they haven't stretched since high school. And so I kept a stretching regimen the entire time. Through the Marine Corps, I took those Marine Corps stretches and just stayed with them. And so then when I finally got into yoga, it was at least a little bit easier for me, but at the same time, I was only stretching these muscles and I hadn't stretched these. And now, so now
Nancy said to tell you hello, by the way. The Admiral sends her best.
Yes.
And she started back to the gym with the New Year's resolution thing. And she's been doing a little yoga. And she comes home every day and she laughs because the instructor, what is she, something different? She says, and you need to give your to the, and somehow when she does the move and she exhales and she uses the set. Anyway, Nancy giggles about that. She says, they're all beginners, but they giggle the way the lady does when she says you need to release your innermost. Anyway, I think that's pretty cute. Another Jimmy Cobb question?
No. People are being.
Starship, it's called, and watch for him. And he's been known to lead you somewhere and stop and actually put.
Mark Lozier said make sure to bring breakfast Saturday morning.
Oh, okay. Saturday morning.
That's Mark Lozier has something to add.
Valentine's Day, they already made a bucket. We're gonna do a live remote with the new equipment. We got new equipment.
Oh, Adam.
It doesn't go in the phone line anymore. It hooks onto the computer right to the modem.
Oh,
thing,
you're not gonna be able to connect.
and
to
right
shit.
through.
He's got new shit.
You're fucked.
Yeah.
We've been fucking with his computer shit forever.
Spent so much
fucked.
money just trying to get this shit going.
Right. Yeah.
I went over and tested.
How does the news do it?
We went in thousands and millions of dollars.
Right.
We went to Glory Kickboxing the other day.
Yeah.
Fucking incredible. It was the top world class kickboxers in the world were just here at Hampton. And next month they're in Dubai. So I mean, this is like the best of the best. It was incredible.
Same fight club, different fighters, same fight clubs. You know what I mean? The same fighters, but just
but they're playing. It's the top. It's like the NFL of kickboxing, and it's on Spike and stuff like that. So we got to see it. But on the way there,
one of my friends from work watched it. He was like, remembered. He was like, there's Lee's at the fights tonight.
Yeah.
Let me
He
see
watched
this on TV, and he found it. Yeah,
Cool,
he
cool,
watched it.
cool.
He said it was good. He was like, he saw the guy's knee go out in the first round too.
Yeah.
He was like, man, that guy was hurt already.
Because that's the thing.
And then he went to throw that kick in the second round, and he just
was
fell
already done.
forward.
Yeah,
he fell
landed
forward when
wrong.
he tried. Yeah.
But he threw a right. No, threw a left, and his knee buckled. When he stepped back, his knee was wobbling. I was like, something's wrong with him. Something's wrong with him. And these are heavyweights, 6'6", and these guys are throwing head kicks like they're like 170 pounders. I mean,
yeah,
he swarmed on him. He ran him down across his clack, clack, clack. And see, there's no takedowns. So these guys, like, when you watch UFC, their stance is really wide because they got to sprawl out for a takedown. These guys are standing straight up in front of each other.
I also feel like since they know the guy can't jump on them and end the fight, they'll fall easier. Like, some of those body shots were really good body shots.
And take a break.
But some of those guys took a
But they also they can only get knocked down 3 times.
It
was 3
well,
times
it ended up being 3 times in a round or 4 times in a fight. Because the 4th time he knocked that guy down, it was
Right.
Because he jumped up the 3rd time. He jumped up on the thing.
Yeah.
The fight before that. It was the end of the tournament.
Yeah.
Who was it?
I can't remember the name.
I can't
Dutch. These all these Dutch dudes.
Yeah. And this guy, I mean, he was just. This other guy was fine as long as he was moving around.
He was real.
It ended up being
was two
this
styles.
guy realized what was happening, and he would let the guy move and let him move, and then see him in the corner and take 1 step forward. And the guy back would be in the corner, and he would just be getting the break speed off.
It was the two styles that were conflicting. It was one guy was a almost a what is it?
Almost Muay Thai, like
not Muay Thai is more standing straight, but it was the Taekwondo where it's flashy, spinny kicks and strikes from like karate strikes from way far out. Right, he was great at that. That's how he got up to. And these guys also the 3rd time they fought that night. They fight.
It was a tournament for this class.
Okay.
Yeah. So these guys have already fought, and then they got these other 2, and then they fight again.
Right.
So it's fucking So you got this guy who's doing all this stuff, and then you got another guy who's Dutch style, who's you basically get right up close to each other and strike. Without all the flamboyant stuff. So you got this guy's doing all this stuff, and eventually all he would have to do is get inside, and he would start lighting him up, put him in the corner, and he couldn't get out. And eventually he put a knee. I mean, he hit him down with 3 different knees. Like every time he went down, it was a knee straight up the middle. And he dropped. But it was crazy. It was like that style you just couldn't beat that style.
I'd like to see that sometime. Let me know next time.
I don't
want to go to Dubai, but
it's on TV.
No,
that was fun.
Yeah.
And anybody that's a fight fan that watches these things, if they come to Hampton or Scope, there's not going to be a bad seat.
Yeah.
There's not going to be a bad seat at all.
Even where we were comfortable because
we were the furthest away.
And we're still fine
from the ring as you could get as far as like length because we were on the end of the arena. Well, the arena was only 3/4 set up. Yeah. They had the wall up so that everybody had their area space behind that. Then they had the ring, and it was like a horseshoe around it almost. So we were at the far end of the horseshoe.
And we had an area, we had like 5-10 seats around us where no one. So we were comfortable. We could have actually gotten closer, but we were just comfy where we were.
We didn't realize it was that much closer to the ring. If you go around to the sides,
you're right on top.
You were right on top of them. And as high as those places are, you probably had a good angle from up.
Yeah, but we could hear the strikes from where we were.
Yeah, I mean the leg kicks were. I don't understand. Like Charlie horse after Charlie horse, and you got to keep fighting through it
over and over and over.
You have to keep going, and this guy just every time you take the wrong step, he Charlie horses you.
Yeah, he's hitting with a baseball bat. He's hitting with because it's calf. I mean, it's shin right on your.
Don't hit me with your shin. Start kicking me.
It's just like a baseball.
He's gonna get up over here.
He's getting ready to take you down. He been in wrestling practice today already.
I had a roommate in military school that was a 12 and under Golden Gloves champ. And I said, "You box, really?" He said, "Yeah." I didn't know what that meant. He says, "Do you box?" I said, "No, I hadn't ever." He said, "You want to try?" I said, "I guess." He said, "Well, I got some gloves here for you." He put the gloves on. He got all the gloves right. And he put his gloves on. He said, "Hold your hands up there in front of you." I held my hands up. He said, "Are you ready?" I said, "Yeah." Bing! He hit me right in the nose. I took the gloves off. I said,
"Yeah, we're done. We're done."
I'm all done fighting.
Yeah, Kevin has a set of the pads for your
the Muay Thai pads.
calves.
Yeah.
I mean, your forearms.
So we
I'd love to get some of those for my kids in class.
Yeah.
They always want to kick and beat each
Yeah,
other
there's a
and punch
perfect-
somebody.
I know.
Right?
That's what
Yeah.
we need to have you and Rick in here, and you just talk about
Crazy kids.
crazy students for an hour and a half, and
I do
people would love
have
it.
one girl that's just won first place in a national contest for your. What was the second one you said that was flashy?
Oh,
Taekwondo?
Taekwondo.
Yes.
Yeah.
She won
Yeah.
the 15 and under national divisional championship. She's going to the big thing here.
Look
in a
out,
couple of
Rhonda.
weeks.
And that's another thing about the
She was in a swimsuit.
Look
this
out,
year.
Ronda Rousey.
Did you see her in Sports
Yes.
Illustrated swimsuit this year?
Yeah,
Rousey.
I saw the pictures on the Facebook from the
Yeah.
sports.
You don't think they touch those up at all, do you?
Probably not much. I mean, she's only 25, 26. I mean, it's probably not a lot of touching up there. Oh, see, and that's the thing is like, I've seen girls that hot in person. I mean, it's not like it's not like everything's touched up on the internet.
We've seen
And
her
girls-
fight.
Yeah.
When she shows up for those fights,
When she shows with a weigh in, she's model cut because
Yeah.
she's at weight.
yeah, they haven't.
She's,
they've been
yeah.
cutting weight like wrestlers, except for
Yeah.
they're I mean,
But
She's trimmed.
The glory kickboxing, man. That's the thing is like if people like the UFC and they don't like the wrestling or the grappling part of it. I mean that's what that glory is.
Yeah.
All stand up. It's clack, legs, clack, throwing bones.
we saw probably more people get knocked down with body shots
Yeah.
than headshot. Especially, I mean, guys, kickboxers get a person in the corner, and it is relentless, relentless.
I would like to see that.
Yeah, it's awesome. It was awesome. I hope it does come back around again. But
Yeah, that was
Mike
fun.
Tyson was there because Mike Tyson was doing the
He does the promotions
the
for
promotion show, the countdown show, and he was there in the audience. So everybody was freaking out about that. That was kind of interesting. But it was cool. It was definitely cool.
Well, what's next on your plans? What do you got lined up?
For fishing wise,
Oh, or show wise?
Show-wise,
You're gonna do the.
Kid Neal tomorrow night, and what we're doing new is the Skype. So we call in people from all over the place, and we're trying to get that
Yep.
going. So that's been doing that.
Yeah.
Next, we have Ty Sutherland next week, and Elias from New Jersey. He
Yeah.
catches flounder.
What's up with
This dude-
Chase? Just busy?
Oh no, I just haven't. I
Yeah.
need to get
Yeah.
on one of the fight nights we can.
We
talk
should have
about the
talked. Oh yeah, we should have about the
Yeah, exactly.
glory. We should.
fights. Yeah, I know.
This week is busy though. I mean, this week is fun.
Yeah.
Having Reese in here is awesome, and then Ken tomorrow is. These guys have stories from.
Yeah. Well, plus just Reese, just with you, I have
And
a
like I
history
said,
with you.
right.
I mean, I have a long history with you. Basically, the beginning of this kayaking career that I've got going now, it started out with you and Rick helping.
The
me out.
media coverage was.
started out with
Yeah.
you guys.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
It was nice to get in on the ground floor of the kayak boom as well.
Yeah. Oh
From
yeah.
my standpoint, because as you grew and kayaking grew, and your groups and the crowds and the clubs grew, that also gave me an in with more.
Yep.
I had so much fun. Was it Corey started? I had a big kayak
Yep,
tournament.
The tournaments.
and
Yeah, the
then-
TKA started those tournaments, and that's what
yeah,
started out.
I had a blast at the first one of those.
Yep.
What's the guy's name? Suber?
Yep.
Is he doing okay?
He's
You heard
in
from
He's
Jeff
in
Florida.
Florida.
Suber?
Jeff Suber is in Florida, but yes, he's doing good. He
Refriended me on Facebook recently.
did he?
Yeah. I don't know what happened.
You're not on Facebook anymore.
No,
No,
I'm
he is
taking a
on
break.
Facebook. He just isn't checking it this week.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought
he's
you
not-
couldn't
he's
be
completely
kayak
active.
Kevin anymore. or
No, well,
something?
they took my name off of me, but now I have a
They
pro
moved.
page.
They
I have
didn't
to do a
delete
pro page.
anything.
No,
They just
well-
changed it to Kevin Whitley instead of Kayak Kevin Whitley.
Yeah, I have
They
another.
the only thing they did was X Kayak off the front of his name.
Yeah, just like you probably put Captain Reese on your Facebook.
No, it's always been.
I put
Bowles.
Reese Bowles.
I know, but if you wanted to put Captain Reese,
You
they
can't.
would probably
Now
not,
they would boot
not
you.
do that because they're going and getting people getting cut now. And since I'm got some people on there they flagged me.
I worry about it extensively, the modern technology. Because the Facebook, I kind of enjoy seeing
Yeah.
what others are doing, but then I see something, I want to make a comment, and I'm like, you better not make a comment or say anything about that. And
Well, yeah.
you don't want to, I don't want to go
Yeah, I don't get
develop
into
a
touchy subjects.
reputation
Yeah, no,
by
you-
making a comment.
Well, that's the thing is you have a radio show. I have a business myself, and we can't. And that's the thing is a lot of people don't understand is we don't have freedom of speech. I can't go on religious rants. I'm not going to go on political rants because it's not, for one, I don't think anybody gives a fuck of what my opinion is on that.
Right.
And two, it's none of my business on what I'm talking about. I mean, my expertise is this stuff, not politics. Politics to me is basically entertainment anyway.
Right. It's essentially the WWE.
Yeah, at this point.
I mean, it's becoming the WWE.
When you're in the public school system, Rick will tell you, you have to be extremely careful. I mean, if you take a picture of a fish, the guy beside you can't. You don't want him holding a beer or something because you could end up. So anyway, I'm trying to be very careful.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking that we're going to have to expand and start.
Well, how much longer are you going to be teaching?
Eventually, you get to a point where you don't care anymore.
Yeah. Right, and that's about when and how long are you going to be teaching?
June.
Right. Right.
June.
So how long, you might have said this earlier, but I meant to ask you, and if you did, it was, I daydreamed. So, how long has the show been going on?
We started on the water reports in 1992.
Okay.
My wife was driving home from Lynn Haven Mall and went by Norfolk Marine, and there was a boat out front with 93.7 The Coast on it. That was the only sticker. And she said, honey, they got a radio boat out in front. Your daddy used to do that. You should go see him. And I said, honey, I don't need to go see him. They said, no, really, take a picture and go see him. So I went to see the guy. His name was Kevin Duffin at Norfolk Marine. And he said, well, that's really neat and that's really nice, but we got somebody that does that already, and we're not familiar with your experience. And I said, well, I got my captain's license. I've been working charters out of Rudy Inlet. I grew up in Lynn Haven, worked on the head boats there. So I have the experience, and if there's one thing I can do is if you let me use your boat, I'll give it back to you in the exact same condition that you gave it to me in. Which to them at the end of the season, they got a better resale on it. So instantly that worked out to be a good thing. Then I left from them and they said, it's really not our decision. It's the decision at the radio station. So I went to the radio station, was on Greenwich Road back then.
Yeah.
And I just walked right in the front door. And somebody said, can I help you? And I said, yeah, I'm here about doing on the water reports. My dad used to do on the water reports, and I showed him the picture, and the guy was like, wow, because he was 68 and 69. And the guy said, wow, and you know how to do that? And I said, well, yeah, I went with my dad every weekend when he did the reports. And he said, come in the back room. They had an old reel-to-reel. And he says, just do a 1-minute report for me. Just make it up. And he turned the thing to record and said, go. And I started off and I got 20 seconds into it and he stopped the thing and he said, that's enough.
That's it, you're good.
We'll be in touch. And when I got home, Nancy was going, honey, the radio station called, honey. The radio station called. And that was the beginning with the On the Water reports. Les Wooten got me the chance to get in on that. More music and Les Wooten. And then about 4 or 5 years later, 96, Les Wooten came out and said he was going to bring a couple friends. Would it be all right? I took him out striper fishing under lights at night. And he brought 2 old guys and a kid.
And a kid. Take a kid fishing.
Young little kid. Well, that's fine.
That's
I
right.
cast it down the light line. He's catching a fish every cast. He's the happiest kid that's ever been. His father caught 3, I think, and said, okay, that's enough. The other old guy continued to catch them.
When I was young, I went out with a buddy of mine and his dad thought he knew everything about striper fishing, and all my dad told me, my dad handed me like a spinning rod and was like, cast it to pilings as you go by, because that's all we had ever done. He was like, just do this. He handed me a couple of bucktails. This guy trolled all day long, and they might have caught 4 on the troll, and I probably caught 1 every 4 pilings all day long, and he would never give up. Never. But his son was up on the front of the boat with me, throwing that damn bucktail at every piling you could get by. Let me use the rod now. I would catch one, and then he would fish, and he would catch one. But we were wearing them out. And so, yeah.
So the old guys, I guess, one of them I come to find out is Tom Barton, Beach Ford Barton Ford.
Right.
And he had been sponsoring the show, but had never been fishing. And he was catching one every other cat, and he just thought that was the greatest thing. And the other old guy was asking me the same question over and over again for 2.5 hours. Okay, so We got an outgoing tide. Yes, sir. Outgoing tide is best for me. The bird's working. It goes here. So tomorrow night at this time, it'll be exactly the same. And I said, no, sir, because the tide is an hour later. So you got to lay over each night. It gets an hour later. And he says, okay, so if I come an hour later tomorrow night, it'll be exactly like this. And I said, not really, because sometimes the moon makes the current move differently.
Sometimes tomorrow is a million fucking miles an hour wind.
From a different direction could affect. So anyway, 2.5 hours I answered the one question about it.
That's right.
And when we got back to the dock, I found out that his name was Bob Sinclair. And that was his son, Bob Sinclair Jr. on the stern that was catching them all night while we were anchored up. And he said, do you think you could,
with Sinclair Jr.
think you could do a 2-hour call-in talk show about fishing? And Les Wooten was like, telling that. I said, well, I guess, yes, sir, I guess I could. There's somebody else doing it. He said, well, don't you worry about that. We'll be in touch. And the next day I got a phone call, and I was surprised because it was him, and he said, can you start this weekend? And I was like, sure. I wrote down 10 pages of notes, went in there and sat down. They said, 3, 2, 1. I couldn't read a thing I had written. I had mic fright. I couldn't say a word. Of course, it didn't help. It was the 6th of January, and it was frozen all the way across the Elizabeth River. And I'm supposed to go in and talk about fishing. I think the first caller said, where's Eric Burley, and who the hell are you?
Yeah.
That was my first caller.
Yeah.
So we went to a break real quick, and then when they came back, they said, tell everybody a little bit about yourself. They should have never asked me that, because I've been telling them that shit.
That's right. He ain't got into that 10 pages of notes yet.
No, never got it. Just started rolling, and it's been rolling since then. So I'm going to say it's been 18 or 19 years now, damn near 20 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
And with the new equipment, if everything works out right, maybe I'll continue to keep going, keep on going.
I still hear you. You do at the inlet or on the water report when you can get on the water reports. Yes. On was it one of the stations?
US 1061.
US 1061. Okay, yeah.
The country station. All the country dudes fish.
I just listen to I like the morning show.
Bobby Bones.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
he's entertaining.
Bones, he is entertaining.
Yeah. So I mean. Yeah, but as far as for entertainment in the truck in the morning, because I most of the time I'm driving the truck while we're working. So
I was enamored in the beginning. I guess that's the right word. I don't know. I'm sorry, dear. I was impressed in the beginning at the radio station because I met the famous guy.
Right.
But 2 weeks later, he was gone. And then I met another guy that was famous on the air. And a month later, he was gone.
Right.
And they said, Reese, do you go into the radio station during the weekdays? And I said, no, I'm afraid to run into Mr. Sinclair. I may be the next one that's gone.
That's right.
So we'll go with the longevity, having an opportunity in the beginning to learn how to run the board myself. Don Burke was a producer and put stickers all over all the little dials, so I knew what the heck I was doing. I still don't get it right to this day sometimes.
Cameras, when we first put the cameras on our kayaks, man, I cussed Kevin left and right. Mm-hmm. I was not myself for months.
Yeah.
It was...
Took a while.
Well, actually, at the beginning of the trips, I was not myself.
Yeah.
But I mean, eventually you forget the shit that's in front of you.
Because you're just
on you. You know what I mean? Because we're out on the water catching fish or whatever. But I hated it. And then it was right when the striper decline had really first started setting in. Yeah. And I'm cussing him up and down because I got this camera on me and I can't catch a striper.
It's the jinx.
And then the next year I couldn't catch a drum.
Yeah.
And it was just like, dude, at this point I'm infuriated every time I strap this thing on the front of my boat. It puts me in a fury. So... eventually it has nothing to do with the camera, and fishing has a lot more to do with your mood and your confidence than anything.
It is a great leveler of humans. No matter how good you are, if it's your day in the bucket, they're just it's extremely humbling.
Oh, we got into it one day this year over that.
Extremely humbling.
Just like when we go talk fishing. I remember when we first started this last time, I was like, oh damn, I guess I'm the hot rod today. Because I call like 3 in a row. It's like, well, damn, I'm the hot rod today. You know, you never know.
Yeah,
who's
That
gonna
would be
the
a
hot
jinx
rod.
for me.
Yeah, well, I ended up, even now, I wasn't the hot rod, but we all caught a lot of fishing. And then Rick caught a
Yeah,
it would have been a release
25 inch.
would have been a release citation. Didn't
He
work.
wasn't going to let that thing
No,
go.
no. but you never know. I mean,
Yeah.
you never know. I mean,
There's not many things he hasn't caught, is there?
Rick. No.
No.
He's almost caught everything you could think of.
Yeah. Yeah.
Has he caught a sword yet?
No,
I don't know if
think
he's
so.
caught one. He's probably been on a boat with one though.
I don't know if he was ever with Ken on the overnighter when they got a sword.
What about when he's down south taking pictures and shit?
He's not done very many overnighters down there.
Ah, yeah, you're right.
And they don't catch
And
them during the
it's
day
like-
like that
yeah,
very often.
yeah.
It's
They catch them during the day in Florida now.
Yeah.
Real
Super
deep,
14,
yeah.
1,500 feet.
Yeah.
Literally
Which
deep
is only
enough.
about where you would paddle your kayak to down there.
Deep enough that what they do to anchor it is they put something on there in a lighter line. They drop it down, and instead of just dropping your line in free spool, the captain circles it so it doesn't drift so far in the current.
Yeah. Keep it vertical.
Yeah. They circle the line as it drops.
Yeah.
And then when it gets to the bottom, because it's so deep, your bait isn't going to float back up. They just jerk,
Yeah.
break the weight off.
There you go.
But the thing with the
Yep.
circling, I mean, do that with a kayak. You cast out and paddle over to
Yep.
it so it goes down and
Yep.
boom, it's vertical.
Yeah, and these guys, I mean, they just follow the current. They just circle it as it goes down, so they don't get all this scope
Yeah.
at all.
Yep.
It's interesting. I mean, I've read a lot and watched a lot of videos on how they so for some reason, I thought it was super cool when they started doing that.
Interesting techniques. I mean, it's
Now
inventive techniques.
a lot of guys are going out there commercial fishing with electric reels, and it's just not. I mean, they're not catching big ones anymore
Right.
as like
Right.
they were when they first started doing it. They were on the big ones.
Yeah.
They would catch 600 pounders. You know what I mean? 400 or
Mm-hmm.
500 pounders. Now they're catching 100 pounders left and right.
Yeah.
It's like anything else, man. That fishery is fish moving in there during a certain part of their life, probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you planning another tour anytime?
Nothing long distance, or what I want to do is I'm going to do a couple days over on the north end, the very top of the bay, where I've done before.
The one with the really pretty cliffs
yes.
and all the little stripers
That's right.
popping
Yep.
and
That's
stuff?
where I want to go, but not the striper part, but higher up where it's actually fresh water.
Not the part where there was so many flies, the dragonflies were grabbing them out of the air?
No, that was midday.
Yeah.
You know,
The dragonflies on the hunt are awesome to
Yeah,
watch.
they're
Man, I see it a
awesome.
lot at the railroad because we're right on the river.
Yeah.
And
open
we get
space,
those,
too.
and we get those like gnats and mosquitoes that just get in
Yeah.
balls, and you
Yeah.
can, I mean, see them moving through the sky, and the dragonflies will just move in on them.
Yep.
And just
Yeah. They're badass.
yeah,
They're
it's
pretty badass.
that's cool. It's
No,
cool
but
the
the
way they
thing-
hunt like birds of predator birds or falcons
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah, they are. They're totally like that. But the very top of the bay, so it's almost fresh water. Like white perch would be the target.
Yeah,
But it's
largemouth bass.
way up there, all the way at the top. So basically Pennsylvania. I'm going to try to do a couple days on that this year, just to get out there. Of course, I spend when I'm drum fishing. I'm spending the night out there then. So I'm camping out in the spring also. So
That's right around the corner.
yeah,
Kevin.
it is. Yeah, it is. I
Yeah.
start training in March, and then in April I'll have a tournament in Louisiana that I'm doing, which is an interesting tournament. It's like a poker run. So you have to catch fish between A and B, and you have to be there by a certain time and catch these fish, and then you have to catch fish between B and C and be there at a certain time, navigate and do all this stuff in a team. So I'm doing that. So that's pretty fun.
Who's your teammate? gonna be?
Irish Jean McElroy from Florida. Yeah.
A ringer?
Yeah. Well, she knows. Yeah, she's
Yeah.
damn good. She's fucking awesome. Yeah.
Okay.
And we'll have her on the Skype show.
Yeah.
sooner or
Yeah.
later.
Yeah. Yeah. I told her, and she got all shy. I was like, "Hi, come on, get over that shit."
Yeah, boo. No, we don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
We don't hear that.
Yeah.
Boo.
No.
How long have you been doing the podcast?
This is a year now.
Yeah, it's just,
Over here.
what was it, number
40. We're on 45.
45?
We've done 45
Yeah.
episodes.
So we tried to do one a week. We around through the holidays and up
was
until now,
hard.
it's been
Yeah.
it's
And-
been a little sketchy. And you know, I mean, things have, we were supposed to do the same one for several days, and I got held up one day, and Damien got held up the next day, and you know,
Yeah.
I mean, trains derail, and sometimes you gotta stay at work.
But yeah.
That one was fun. That was cool to see.
Yeah. that train wreck or train derailment.
Double stack leaning far enough that I thought, wow, that should probably be falling over by now. And then you look back, and this thing came off the rail a quarter of a mile back, and it's just annihilated everything within a foot and a half of the 2.5 foot of the rail. So it's taken out all the switch stands and everything.
Just
dredged.
Yeah,
Just dredged.
just to shreds. And somehow it's just these 2 cars, and the rest of the train is just fine.
Wow.
Well, what happened is when they loaded the car, put the double stack on there, the pack loader probably hadn't released the locks and picked up and pulled back a little bit before the locks released. And they didn't hear it slam because he just picked it right up on the edge and set it off
Just a little bit.
Set it off the rail. And that's it, man. And it just moved. And as it moved, it came further and further and started taking switches and part of a fence and switches and cross ties. And then all of a sudden, somebody saw it and started screaming. And now you got 2 cars that are just like this, leaning. The rest of the train is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I ended up doing that day.
Okay.
But we finally got Damien on, which is
Yeah.
funny because
Yeah, because-
motherfucker's in radio, and he's one of our fishing partners. And it took us a year to get him on the show.
He's a busy man.
Yeah,
Yeah, he is, and he
Yes,
runs all
yeah,
over the
yes.
place. He's doing way more for the radio now than he was before.
Right.
Yeah. So
Well, he was either going to move along
Yeah.
or he was going to rape them for a big salary.
He basically said that he had to do something. He was like, "Man, I've been doing the same thing for a while." So he told me, he was like, "I got to do something." He had some moves planned, stuff he was looking into.
He's good at it, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is.
He's
I mean,
got the
a
voice.
lot of people
He's
can
got
go
the
in,
voice
but he's
for
good at
commercials
it.
and stuff like that too.
And the knowledge of how to edit and put everything together.
way he-
And well, he's got and plus, I mean, it takes a skill to host a show that's kind of a boring show. I mean, those expert shows are just about like
Not
finances.
your show.
I mean, they're about finances. I mean,
he does
Yeah.
the shit can that's not interesting, and he's got to keep it rolling. He's got to make it a radio show. That's tough as shit.
I got friends at work that listen to your show every week. Every week.
Tell him I apologize.
I have friends that listen every week and have listened every week for the longest time.
Man.
There's a guy, he's probably looking now, I don't know how many people we got watching, but
3. There's 3 people.
that's all-
Yes, yeah.
I don't know what, Kevin, we get way more when Kevin shares the stuff. Next week it'll be
Yeah,
better.
that's all I'm doing on Facebook is just taking a week break. That's all I was doing, the page is still there. I'm just taking a week break off of, which is funny because now I get emails. Facebook is like, hit me. Hey, since you've been gone, you got 44 new notifications. You
Right.
got 3 friend requests. Hey, come on, I've only been like off 3 days. I mean, shit.
Right.
So it's been kind of, and I'm doing no Facebook or no TV for a week, and I just came off of a 36-hour silence where I wasn't even talking to myself, which was fucking completely wacky.
I don't even think
Because we
about
know how
it.
much you like to talk to yourself.
Well, the thing is, I mean, I was telling Alderman this, trying to explain it. I didn't explain it well, but I'm an adventurer in the rest of the time, right? In the wintertime, I become almost a mental and psychological adventurer. I yoga, and I'm more into the mental side of that type of stuff, and I explore what's inside, just like I explore when I'm outside. So that's what my winters have become, of more of a mental exploration. And that's what that 36 hours of being silent. Yeah. And it wasn't in the point everybody thought it was I bet it was hard communicating with other people. Well, that wasn't hard because I only really had about 20 minutes that I was around people, and I just felt like an asshole because I had to write shit down, and just felt like when I went to yoga, just like before.
Right.
But the hardest part was not being able to talk to myself because I'm alone all the time, and so I'm always conversating with myself out loud. And I'm always having that other part of me to bounce ideas off of and all that stuff. Take that away, man. And
So did you just walk into
wild.
yoga right as it was getting ready to start, so you didn't,
No. I brought a pad, and the teacher knew because she's a friend of mine on Facebook, and she knew what I was doing. But the girl next to me, I can't talk, and got to write it down. And I just felt like an asshole because it's like, I'm making somebody read because of this thing I'm doing. But it's a thing.
so stop being an asshole.
Yeah, but it's a thing, man, and to go through it. I mean,
Yeah.
it was a test. It was a test, and it was a
Yeah, I'm
mental
not trying to listen to that.
explanation, man. It was crazy.
If I went into work and people were talking about some, why aren't you talking?
That's why I did it on my day off.
What's wrong with you? Are you
why-
not feeling well?
That's why I did it on my
Something
day.
wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? I get asked 1,000 times. I grin everywhere I go. They're like, you seem like you're happy today. What'd you do? What'd you do? I said, what are you talking about? They said, you did something. You're grinning like
Well, that's what I did on my
Something.
days off too. I did it on my days off, and when I went to the stores, I just was quiet. And to them, they probably thought I had something wrong with my mouth. Maybe kind of did that type of shit. But I can't imagine trying to do it where you actually have to deal with people. That'd be tougher. But not talking to yourself was tough. And I even ceased it, like mumbling to myself. Because there's a difference when you talk to yourself externally or internally. You ever notice that? Like if you just talk to yourself inside without mouthing it, without becoming outside, it's a different conversation. If you have a conversation with your
I do that a lot with my wife. She says something, and I say, yeah, but... And she says, but what? That's... No. She said, I hate when you do that. I said,
We're all right.
I spoke to myself.
Or, you know what?
Said, it'll go by in a couple minutes. Just let it go.
It's also probably hard to relate when you guys are married and girlfriends and stuff. When I'm me and my cat and myself.
I talked to the dog when I was single.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, and that's kind of yeah.
I mean, not like confiding, but I mean, like literally, I talk to the dog when I get home. I'm still.
Well, this is what
If I didn't talk to my dog for a day, she'd probably look at me like really, really weird.
Yeah. It was weird because I would slip up by talking to my cat or talking to myself, and I'd work on the computer, get away from the computer, and go, God, I need to do this. I was like, fuck, I just talked to myself because I was trying not to even do that because that was the toughest part. And the reason why I talk to myself is because of the tours. I mean, when you're isolated like that, Castaway, perfect example. And if you seen Fight Club? You ever seen Fight Club? That's even better example. And I call this the Tyler Durden effect. What this using the other person, because you end up splitting off a piece of your personality, and you can really bounce ideas off of that. I mean, Wilson in Castaway helped him get off that island, right? It's splitting off to help you. It's a thing that people in isolation deal with, and I developed that when I was on tours. So not having that accessibility to that other person was a fucking trip, because it was usually would have those two, and one can knock off the other one. The stronger one is easily knocked off, but then if you have that weaker one that gets a hold of you, and another one isn't able to be on the outside and come in, it was such a trip. It made me take a nap. I don't take naps. It was such a mental battle that it made me go to sleep. When I woke up, both were inside my head. Both had equal sides. Both were not dominant or not, both were equal and not arguing with each other. It's pretty interesting. I had a shift.
That's deep shit, man.
Yeah.
That's the type of shit I go through in the
I don't
winter.
get into it like that.
It's interesting. It's an observation. I observe this,
Ever since I can remember, people said, Jesus Christ, you will talk to anybody, won't you?
That's right.
I just walk out and somebody walks by, good morning, how you doing? You know this?
That's right.
No.
I've been
would
that
talk
same way.
to anybody.
And I've run into some really rude people that didn't want to talk back. But
Right.
whatever. I mean,
That's
fuck
fine.
them.
But I carry on his conversation back to myself.
Right.
How are you this morning? They don't say anything. I'm doing fine, thank you. And you? Well, I'm doing well.
Oh
thank
no,
you.
I just keep
appreciate
talking. That guy's a fucking dick. Well, fuck that dude. I'll talk to the next person then. Fuck him.
Yeah, well, I wrote about this, so I basically wrote the same thing I just told you, and I sent it to Rob Troy, and he said, at first I said, is this interesting or a freak show, right? And it was like,
You're a freak show.
I was like, okay, and then basically what he told me is like, you might want to write this and put this out. But me talking about it, I don't think it's as bad as writing it, because people can put their own inflections on it, right?
All three of them will have to make their decisions.
This
right?
will get 100 views off of this. I mean, eventually,
Yeah.
It's just right now, it's just a live show, doesn't get it. But I explained
Yeah,
it pretty well, right? That wasn't. I mean, it was deep, but it wasn't fucked up, right?
Yeah.
Okay, y'all
Deep.
motherfuckers always look at me like that.
Hey,
He
don't
does.
put me in there.
He does. I like it's and shit. Even when I'm also writing a story about like a total fictional story, But
Right.
so I started telling him, you know what's cool? You know what's really cool with me is I know whenever I have my best friends look at me like all sideways, I'm kind of onto something cool.
Right. I just like, and I'm not like a fantasy type of person either. I'm like,
I went on this.
Alright.
I have started a whole story that
he's gonna write a novel.
that is insane, complete insane.
I think people would buy it just to see how insane it is.
And it's about fishing. It comes when it comes down to it. It's going to be like at the Eastern Shore.
Man.
Should be
Well,
fun.
I wish you the best of luck with it.
No, thank you.
I
You
hope
just,
that
you know,
it turns out real well.
working with the insanity. That's what it is.
Which Kevin alter ego would win in a fishing tournament? That's right.
I don't know. They'd be tight.
That's a real question. The people
It'd
are asking.
it'd probably be decided on time because they would have the same catch.
He's not gonna make it if it causes him to sleep.
Whoever
Wake up
caught
early
him
morning.
first would win
Or wake up earlier in the morning.
on time.
That's why it's so hard for me to get into your show. I haven't been a guest in a long time because that's early in the morning.
Yeah, and you got like cuts for, you have recorded stuff sometimes, and you have commercial cuts. We've been going live now since 7:04, and it's 8:45.
Oh my gosh, it's
That's
beyond
just-
my
You
bedtime.
like that run? You,
But it's
you like
just
the
straight.
because that's
But it's just straight uninterrupted talk, unlike a radio show.
because like the last time I saw you,
I'm just listening to you guys. I'm still inside Kevin's head, you know?
He's still waiting for his straight right.
I'm still inside Kevin's head, yeah.
He's still looking for the straight right.
Very funny.
yeah, wintertime is my psychological explorations. You know.
Well, I gotta head back out to Sandbridge
Yeah,
eventually.
you do live the fuck way.
Yeah, you
out
live
there.
way out there. My
Well,
brother was
what
living
he
out
what he was getting at.
Wait. If we were all gonna meet at the Little Island Pier, I would be close.
That's right.
Okay.
What he was getting at was the on the show you have commercial breaks. So
Right.
you know it's. And remember last time I saw you was probably at the TKA tournament. And you were like, yeah, how you, it's kind of hard being a host of a show. I was like, motherfucker, I go for an hour and a half straight. You got commercial breaks, and then when I down your show, I was like, I asked Damien, okay, how long can I go? He said, half hour straight. I was like, all right, let's see if I can.
But
I
you
don't know.
can't. That's different because you can't use your f-bombs.
No.
you can't use your like.
and that's
You
the thing.
have to be really careful
have to be
as to
on.
what you say.
Yeah.
Actually, the reason why one of the professional, personal professional reasons why I wanted to start doing this podcast is become more natural when I'm doing a narration or interview type of thing. So I could use some of this into the radio show, and I think I kind of did that by still. You know, because when I'm on the show, I have a radio voice. I know, and it's the same voice I use on my narrations. But through this, I'm trying to use my more natural inflection
Right.
with things, because my more natural inflection has crazy ups and downs, and is more entertaining.
Battling in
I don't think,
his
I don't
fucking
think it would be
entertaining.
as much fun if we had to try and limit ourselves for an hour and a half. I mean, I think that our shows would be a lot shorter if we tried. Just, I don't know.
Well, but it's also it's yeah. Well, it's a different environment when you have the headphones on and the mic in front of you.
Well, and also, the
because
further I get into a conversation, the more.
slippy.
Yeah. You just start
It really.
letting it go.
The fucks will fly, roll, in the fucking motherfucking.
That's
That type of
right.
shit happens, and
They
it's
just
hard.
roll.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
type of shit happens.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we haven't caught any fish, but there have been a lot of pelicans out on my deck. Pelicans? Really this time of year? Yeah, they shit all over. Oh!
Right. No. Yeah.
Yeah.
None of that.
Red button.
Well, damn. Thank you for coming.
Yeah,
in,
this
man.
was fun. A
I
lot of
enjoyed
fun.
it. I'm sorry. Yeah. Hey, you got Ken Neal tomorrow
man.
night
Dude,
to
I
tell
was
everything
I
about.
was excited about you coming in.
Yeah.
I'm excited about Ken coming in, but I was excited
This
about you
week,
coming in. So I've been
when it didn't work out with Shane because he had to go to work this weekend, Kevin was like, "Well, what can we do this week?" And I told him, I was like, "Text Reese and see what Reese says."
Yeah.
I told you.
And then
Would.
I had just let Ken know. I asked Ken a few weeks ago, and he said he was going to be free this Thursday and next Thursday.
So we're shooting.
And next Thursday we got the Skype show planned out with 2 people already.
Yeah.
And so we don't normally do 2 in a week, but
Yeah.
it's worth it. And both of these shows will get YouTube like crazy.
Yeah, and we did 2 shows in one night. We
did 2 shows the day we did Damien.
Yeah, we did a Damien show and then we did a Skype show and made 2 shows out of that. So
We just took like an hour and a half break.
yeah, just went 8 and yeah.
Tell me a good fishing joke.
Put a motherfucker on the spot.
Yeah, I don't know.
Tell me a good fishing joke.
I got no jokes.
No?
The only joke I got is the dolphin joke, and this motherfucker always wants to step on the punchline whenever I say it.
Does it go something like that? Is that the way it goes?
One time I said it on the show, it was like I was running, I had it lined up, and I was like the flow, and he was like, and the punchline. I was like, oh god damn! The one joke I've ever written in my life, and it's a solid joke. And fucking Rick's Roger, he's taking claim to it. I was like, no motherfucker, I wrote that when I was on tour. He heard it and then been saying it anyway. Right. One joke.
One time.
The locals are getting wrestled.
All right, well, you got a fishing joke? You got one lined up?
Why don't you go fishing with a one-armed dude?
Why?
Because you can only catch one this big.
That's right. That's good.
2 guys
You can't do that on the radio.
went out on the lake and they were fishing all day and they hadn't caught anything, and finally a guy catches a smallmouth and he thumbs it and he took the hook out and the bass said, if you let me go, I'll grant you one wish. So he looked at his buddy and he says, I wish this whole lake was filled with beer. And he threw the fish over and poof, the whole lake turned to beer. And he says, what do you think of me now? He said, great, now we got pee in the boat. I don't know, I guess that's about all.
That's a good
Twin
one.
brothers, one bought a new boat and one got married. And so a lady saw one of them downtown the other day and said, how's the new girl working out? And he said, really great, except I let 3 of my buddies borrow her the other day and they all piled in her, ran her wide open and split her open at the seams. Which brother were they talking to?
That's right.
I don't know, man. I told a joke on the radio one time, you can't hear anybody laugh. And I went, that'll be the last
Yeah,
one.
right.
Yeah.
You tell on the radio, you know, because there's nobody there to laugh. But my senior English teacher said, you will never amount to be anything the rest of your life. Because all you want to do is talk and be funny.
That's right.
I went back and saw her before she retired.
There's a,
I said, I'm
there's a
talking
calling
and being
for that.
funny. That's right.
I had a when I was in TCC, I had an English teacher said I should be a construction worker. And when I started writing for the magazine, I really wanted to find her and just like throw magazines on her table.
There you go.
I wasn't supposed to do this, was I?
That's right. That's right. Somebody else was responsible for teaching me to do it.
Yeah. No, without computers and spell check, I wouldn't ever be a writer.
It's bad.
It
His
is
text
because
messaging
of
is
modern
bad.
technology. I just purchased a new computer and you just touch the screen. You don't even have to do that.
I've had a
It's
problem.
like, holy
Every
cow.
once in a while, I want to touch my computer screens. I'm like,
Somebody
oh
said,
yeah.
how's your new computer? I said, I don't really know yet. I'm still learning what it does. I don't have a clue.
All right, we're gonna wrap it up. We've been on for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I'm sorry.
Oh no, we're good. We're good.
Perfect.
All right, thanks guys, and we'll see you tomorrow with Captain Ken Neal.
Dr. Ken
Dr.
Neal.
Ken Neal.
Yeah.
it's not Captain,
Yeah.
Charter Captain.
I don't
Dr.
know
Ken
if he
Neal.
has his captain's license or not.
I believe so.
Okay.
I would
Was Dr.
think-
Ken Neal is
I
Does
think
you
so.
have to have? I mean, it's a private boat. Does he have?
No.
Me too. No.
Right. I mean, it's his boat. I mean, it's
That's
a
all I was thinking.
boat. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, I assume he probably does, or
He's
is well. He
probably-
is very well qualified. I've seen him drive it.
Yeah.
More records. Probably tagged more fish.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably done more DNA samples.
All
I
that
got an
stuff.
email today about it, the 20th year anniversary from him. The 20th year anniversary of the tagging program. So I'll read that email tomorrow, and then we'll probably talk about that some.
Yep.
He's really good too. Once you get him going, he's really good.
It's another long one.
Put a
It's,
chart up right here, will you? Behind his head.
Get him-
So when he
get
says,
him-
well, the north wall of the canyon right on the, you can reach up there. When he says, well, when we hit the inshore wrecks over at the so-and-so, you can right up there. So, but there's many a day, I think, when I look at the pictures that they're taking with the fish, and I see the ocean in the background. I go, man, that's an angry ocean.
That's
that
right.
guy's out there fishing.
He
in
doesn't.
that.
He goes. If he can go fishing, he'll go fishing.
Yeah.
You don't have to be comfortable to go fishing. If he can go fishing, he'll go fishing.
Yeah.
Comfortable is not a that's a luxury. Comfort is a luxury.
I was like that when I was young.
He's not young.
And the older I get,
Yeah, he's not young. He
Oh,
just
yeah.
is going for it. And he's got a new record. He's got a new target. The ante got upped.
what
At
is he looking at
29.
now?
He wants to catch the world record tautog.
Oh, okay.
He wants it bad, and that fish up in New Jersey makes him want it worse. I think it was almost 29 pounds. He knows he has to catch one 29 pounds now.
Yeah.
Well, last year, didn't we have a ton of giant? Was it last
Yep,
year?
it was
or
last year. It
before?
was
Everybody was catching giant togs every time they went.
It has to get. You either have to really, really know where to go, or it has to get really, really cold. Really, really cold. And then you can go to known wrecks way super deep and catch big ones. But it had last winter was so cold. It was one of those winters that pushes the sea bass away from everything. We went to one of the wrecks that people caught. I've been out, and we went to one of the wrecks that people caught big togs at last year, and we caught giant sea bass in the middle of when we should be catching. Last year they were catching togs at this time, and we caught giant sea bass on every drop.
I think we've
Every
been
drop.
pretty lucky so far,
Yeah.
comparatively winter speaking.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've had some chilly temperatures, but I think we've been pretty lucky. We haven't had the sixes. Last year I was in Costa Rica. Y'all had 6 degrees for 5 days in a
It
row
was
or
like
something.
22 or something. Yeah. It was.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was cold as shit.
Nancy said it was 6 degrees. I said, well, it was 96 here today.
All right. We'll wrap it up. I will see you guys tomorrow. And
I think that's
thanks-
the third time you said that.
Yeah, I know.
Dr. Ken Neal, ladies and gentlemen.
And thanks to Yak Attack at yakattack.us. See you guys.